Yeah, we're on. I think we're on, dude.
Rock and roll time,
Rocking
baby.
and rolling. The Oddfathers podcast, VP Debate Edition. We did it once with the presidential debate. We're going to do it again. It's me and Dr. John. What's going on? Monty here.
What's up, buddy?
Nice.
I'm
What's
doing
going on?
good.
Yeah, man. How you been? How you been?
Hanging in there.
Said like a true New Yorker. How you been?
I'm doing just fine.
I'm doing just fine. That's great.
We're gonna watch JD shove something up Tampon Tim.
I don't know. Maybe. I hope he can like control himself. You know, this is what I want to see.
I think he'll
That's all.
control better than Trump, and just slam him with facts.
Well, facts lives matter. You know what I mean? They do.
Yes, sir.
So, cool. All right. Enough of that nonsense. Get out of here with the music. Who's doing that?
Who's in control over
Anyway, this is great. Streaming live again. We have a few minutes, and John, we were talking about. I just can't believe like the blatant lies and stuff. First of all, it's been a crazy week. I want to just give a prayer and a shout of love out to everybody in Florida, from Fort Myers Beach all the way up into the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee. Everybody who's been affected by Hurricane Helene. Drastic, I guess, catastrophic damage. Horrible. But
all the people in Asheville.
the Oddfathers, you know, we love you. All the guys aren't here again because nobody could, but John and I can stay up. It's fucking ridiculous. I love them. But anyway, we're going to try to do whatever we can do to help. I know friends of ours and mine have been putting together lists. They're heading up there. They actually have a house. Several friends of ours have houses up there. So we're going to be loading up some trucks and stuff with supplies to help everybody from, I guess, from the Big Bend, you know, even the beach. But everybody's, you know, they're heading up to the Carolinas and stuff like that too. So praying for you guys. Hang in there. All right.
I do think
I don't know what else to say. It's just horrible.
It's ironic that citizens are doing more
Yeah.
than the government.
No, I know. That's
Yeah.
I hear the stories. I need to. Everything is happening so quick. It's so fluid. I want to know if it's the truth. If it's private helicopters and whatnot and all that's going on. But you know, billions of dollars just get printed and flow out of the country. I don't know. We need to take it. You have to take care of your own house first. You can't be running around to all your neighbors and fixing their stuff. That's what happens. Think about it. If you're like a plumber, probably the plumbing in your house, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Things get left on the side, and you're fixing everybody else's shit. You know, we need to fix our stuff here. That's all I'm saying. These people need help, and they need it now.
I heard Elon set up Starlink for him.
Yeah, they were supposed to, and then now I don't know. They're getting them in there somehow, which is really cool. But you know,
how are they going to power it up? That's my question.
I don't know. Yeah, when there's no electric, there's no electric.
Right.
But there's gas, and then there could be electric. Do you know what I'm saying? There's propane, and there can be electricity,
and you can cook.
Yeah, it's really simple, morons. It's really simple. Sorry, I'm a little fired up. I know. I don't even know what time it is. What time are we?
We got 53 seconds.
53 seconds. All right, I'm going to have to figure this out. Maybe we'll get back to that after. Hold on. Stop the screen. Let's go. I'm my own producer. You guys have to. You know it.
I just sit here and look pretty.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
And you are pretty.
Thank you.
I just have to put some volume on it. Where's the volume on this fucking thing? Oh my God. Oh, I missed it.
We are waiting for the debate to get started. You've got Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who is on the Trump ticket, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz They're going to
How's that sound? Is it loud?
As there is a very
Not that
active
loud.
backdrop
Can you hear
in
it?
America for issues for them to deal with tonight.
You good?
The CBS vice presidential debate begins in moments. Thanks for watching it here with us on Fox.
Yeah, I don't
News.
want to. I
Tonight's
can't watch.
matchup
I can't watch it on
comes as the US
CBS.
faces escalating crises.
I don't know why.
here and
I'll
abroad
walk.
from the
I'll walk off
devastation
the show.
of a hurricane.
I think it's loud.
Hurricane
I have to
Helene,
lower it.
Iran's unprecedented strikes into Israel. All
Yeah,
of
lower
that
it for
weighing
now.
heavily on the campaigns and the
I don't want to
stage
like
tonight.
freak people out.
So the running mates share
Especially
a
since I don't know what I'm doing.
background, and they are expected to lay out starkly opposing views on several.
What's hilarious?
Oh,
It's
I muted
on
it.
that debate stage. Stay with us for post-game analysis, of course, and reaction afterwards.
How's that sound?
Good.
Yeah.
Lowered a little bit.
Good evening, I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for
I could just
joining us
mute
for
it.
tonight's
Oh,
CBS News
I mean-
vice presidential debate. We want to
Oh, it's
welcome
two
our viewers
girls.
on
I see.
CBS
I'm a little
and other
misinformed.
networks here in the US
I said
and
two
around the
girls.
world. We have a consequential night ahead.
Did
and
you
our
assume their
focus is the
gender?
issues
No,
that matter
but
to
they're
you,
both wearing
voters.
blazers.
Let's introduce the candidates. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Ohio's Republican Senator J.D. Vance.
The mics are on this one, right?
meeting for the first time.
I hope. I didn't look
No.
at the rules.
I think they are, dude. I think.
I'm Margaret Brennan.
Aw,
In
they
order
shook
to have
hands.
a thoughtful and
They
civil
should have
debate,
thumb wrestled.
These are the rules that both campaigns have agreed to. Questions will be directed at one candidate who will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for rebuttal. Then each candidate will get another minute to make further points.
All right.
With an additional 1 minute each
Wow.
at the discretion of
It's a
the
lot of
moderator.
time.
And if
The
they
primary
disagree, they
role of
throw
the
blows?
moderators is to facilitate the
No,
debate
then they have to
between
thumb
the
wrestle.
candidates,
No, they thumb
enforce the
wrestle.
rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity to
Well, what's that
fact-check
game
claims
where you
made
put
by
your
the
hands
other.
out
Oh,
and the
slap,
head?
slap,
Yeah, slap.
To mute
Yeah.
the candidates'
Come on,
microphones
come on.
to make sure they have not shared the questions
I mean, I
over
thought he was going to come out like Farley. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah.
Senator,
You know,
thank you
this-
for
he
joining
probably
us.
did.
Let's get
They just
started.
didn't show it.
Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Helene. And now a labor strike as 25,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas are picketing. We're going to begin tonight with the Middle East. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora.
You're welcome.
Earlier
Margaret.
today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Israel, but that attack failed thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to
Did she
try
say
to prevent a regional war.
40,000?
Iran is weakened.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, and thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is
He's already
absolutely
stuttering,
fundamental.
dude.
Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
He's nervous. He's nervous.
But
Yeah.
the
Oh,
expansion
yeah.
of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition,
He could
able to
feel
stop the
JD's
incoming,
stare right there.
Attack. But what's fundamental here is
He's just
that
worried
steady
Diddy's gonna
leadership
fucking
is
out
gonna
him.
matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that.
Okay.
It's
The
those
first
that
time
were
Trump was
closest to
mentioned.
Donald Trump
One.
that
Two.
understand how
Two.
dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous.
Yeah.
His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of his
Here we go.
secretaries of
I don't know
defense
why
Here we
I
go.
laughed.
and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our allies matter. When our allies see Donald Trump
Didn't Trump
turned
get the
towards
Abraham
Vladimir
Accord
Putin,
signed?
Yeah, yeah.
turned towards,
Okay, it's just
North
it's
Korea.
calm
When we
again.
start to see
Classic
that type of fickleness
gaslight.
around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today, we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
I hope he says he starts off with I was raised in a middle class family. That's what he's got to say right off the bat.
By Israel on Iran. You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working class family.
They're good
My
for
mother
you.
required food
There you
assistance
go.
for
Boom.
periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here
He's
asking
already
you,
laying the
Vice President,
groundwork.
with extraordinary
Yep.
gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that
He
as
was
much
like,
as
"Oh,
Governor
shit."
Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People
No
were afraid
wars.
of stepping out of line.
Yeah.
Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala
From-
Harris administration.
Thank you.
What do they use the
There you
money
go.
for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Thank you, Senator.
Iran
Governor
fired over
There you go.
200
I
mean-
any of the
today.
allegations?
Well,
Re-
look,
really.
Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in.
No,
its
because it
place.
was the
So
worst
Iran is close
deal
to a
ever.
nuclear
Right.
weapon than
That's
they
why
were
he
before
pulled it.
because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian
What?
attacks were
Sitting
repelled.
on the beach all weekend?
Yeah, what's steady leadership? They shot 200 freaking ballistic missiles, you goofball.
Senator
I'm
Vance,
reading it
the
right
U.S.
here.
did have a diplomatic deal
Oh my
with
God.
Iran to
This is-
temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did
He's
exit
fickle.
that deal.
I've heard Trump call a lot of things.
Recently
not
said,
fickle.
just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been.
Thank you.
And Governor Walz, you blamed
Right.
Donald Trump.
I heard 2
Who
weeks
has been
away.
the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about what the sequence of events
Right.
that led us to where we are right now, and you can't ignore
Yeah.
October the 7th, which I appreciate Governor Walz bringing up. But when did Iran and Hamas and their proxies attack Israel? It was during the administration of Kamala Harris. So Governor Walz
Because
can
they
criticize
show
Donald Trump's
weakness.
tweets,
Right.
But effective, smart diplomacy and
'Cause you have a
peace through
mumbling,
strength
stuttering
is
prick
how
in the
you
White
bring
House.
stability back to a
Right.
very
And
broken
a
world.
moron is
Donald
the
Trump has
VP.
already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when When was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
That's right.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you.
That's right.
Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene.
Golf clap.
The storm could become one of the deadliest on record.
wrong.
160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing.
That's right.
Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes larger,
God.
stronger, and more
It happened
deadly
in
because of the
19
historic rainfall.
It happened like 100-something
Senator
years ago.
Vance, according
Same
to
same
CBS News
same
poll,
scenario.
7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change.
By what?
Senator,
Taxing us to death?
responsibility would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure. So first of all, let's start with the hurricane.
Let's start
because
with
it's an
climate change is
unbelievable,
bullshit.
Unspeakable human tragedy. I just saw today actually a photograph.
Maybe it
of
isn't.
2 grandparents
Maybe it
on
isn't.
a roof with a 6-year-old
okay.
child.
You're gonna
and
get
it was
us
the
kicked
last
off
photograph
YouTube.
ever taken of them because
But I
they
don't
were
know.
Like
last.
6
And there's
minutes
All right,
in.
people
we're
lost
trying to
their
hear
lives.
him.
And I'm sure
Everybody's
Governor
trying to
Walz
hear
joins
him.
me and saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them, and we want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible, and then of course afterwards to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally in Appalachia, all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job, and I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster. Now, Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions. This idea
Right.
that carbon emissions
CO2.
drives all of the climate
For
change.
those of you who don't
Let's
know.
just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true. Well, if you believe that,
Weird
what would
science,
you want to do?
science.
The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What
There you
have
go.
Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing per unit of economic output. So if we actually care about getting cleaner air and
Look,
cleaner
he's
water,
fucking
the best thing to
dumbfounded.
do is
Look
to
at him. He
double
doesn't
down
even know
and
what he
invest
just
in
said.
American
I mean,
workers
Vance knows what
and
he
the
said.
American people, and
Waltz doesn't know what he
Kamala
just said.
Harris has done exactly
Look at
the
him.
opposite.
Governor Walz, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, we got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of
Right.
all, it is a
Wind
horrific
turbines.
tragedy with this hurricane, and my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of Governors as we work together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together to all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end. The federal government comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover, but we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused.
Okay.
Now look, coming back to the climate change issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything we've seen. Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen
I mean-
out of the
Let's
Harris
just start with that.
administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment.
You really
No,
think
all right.
insurance
Massive
companies?
investments, the biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Reduction Act, has created jobs all across the country. 2,000 in Jeffersonville, Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country. The largest
Did he
solar
say EV?
manufacturing plant
Yeah.
in North
Electric
America
vehicles?
sits in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But my farmers know climate
They
change
don't
is
work
real. They've
in-
seen 500
in a
year
flood.
droughts, 500-year floods back to back. But what they're doing is adapting, and this has allowed them to tell me, look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind. We are producing more natural gas and more oil at any time than we ever have. We're also producing
What?
more clean energy. So the
Nobody's
solution
against
for us
clean energy,
is to
dude.
continue to move forward.
Everybody
That
wants it.
Climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country. That's exactly what this administration has done. We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower.
I should
for
be
the
taking
future,
notes 'cause
not
I'm gonna
just the
forget.
current. And that's what absolutely makes sense.
Yeah,
And then
I
we
just
start
grabbed the
thinking
pen.
about
Yeah,
how do
please.
we mitigate these disasters.
Thank you. Senator, I want to give you an opportunity to respond there. The governor mentioned that
They're not
President
talking
Trump has
about
called
what
climate
it costs
change
to
a hoax.
manufacture
Do you
these
agree?
EVs.
Well, look, what the president
And
has
the real
said
story
is that if
behind
the
it.
Democrats, in
How it's
particular Kamala Harris,
mined
And the
and
batteries
stuff.
if they
come
really
from
believe
China.
that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing. So clearly, Kamala Harris herself doesn't believe her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's energy policies. Now, something Governor Walz said I think is important to touch upon, because when we talk about clean energy, I think that's a slogan that often the Democrats will use here. And I'm talking, of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China, number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China.
And that's a
especially
fact.
the components that
Yes.
go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner, you've got to invest in more energy production. We haven't built a nuclear facility, I think, one in the past 40 years.
Senator.
Natural gas, we got to invest more in it. Kamala Harris has done the opposite. That's raised energy prices and also meant that we're doing
Senator,
worse
your
by the
time
climate.
is up. Governor,
Your
would you
time
like
is
to
Yeah,
up.
the only natural gas coming out of
We're
Tampon
producing
Tim
more
is coming out of his
gas.
ass.
There's no moratorium on that. We're producing more oil, but folks know, and like I said again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one year, massive flooding the next year. They understand that it makes sense. Look, our number one export cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota this summer.
There's no
And
farmer
we're
voting
thinking
for this
about how do we
clown.
respond to
No,
that?
I know.
We're thinking
I
ahead of this,
haven't-
and
I
what
haven't
Kamala Harris has been able to do in
heard
Minnesota,
one.
We're starting
Right.
to weatherproof some of these things. The infrastructure
They
law
can't
that was
run their
passed
tractor on
allows us to
EV.
think about mitigation in the future. How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign and I'll let
There
you
we
do
go.
whatever you want. We can be
Didn't-
smarter about that.
didn't
and an
Kamala
all-above
say
energy
that
policy
too?
is exactly
Yeah,
what
they-
she's doing.
well, they all
She's
say it.
creating those jobs right here.
But here's the thing:
Governor,
nobody's
your time
against
is up.
burying
The
power
overwhelming
lines. That's a
consensus
good.
among scientists
My power lines are
shows
buried. I
climate
love it.
is warming
Mine
at an
too.
unprecedented rate.
But my power still went out.
Thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to
come on.
immigration. The crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border consistently ranks as one of the top issues for American voters.
Issues,
Senator Vance.
Margaret.
Your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation
See,
plan in
negative.
American
Look,
history,
mass
and to use the
deportation.
US military
Send them
Evil.
out.
to do so.
Send
Could you
them.
be more
Evil.
specific
It's
about
evil.
exactly how this will work? For example, would you
You get a
deport parents who
deportation,
have
you get a
entered the US
deportation,
Yeah,
you
right.
get a deportation.
Right.
them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil? You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That has opened the floodgates. And what it's meant is that a lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction and has gotten clean. I don't want people who are struggling with addiction to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations. And that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country. What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start.
I know
with
what the
criminal
Democrats
migrants.
are doing with
About
them,
a
handing
million
them
of those
friggin'
people have
ballots.
committed some form
Yeah,
of crime in addition
exactly.
to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you asked about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules.
What about the
real family
425,000
separation policy in this
criminals that
country
have come
is
over?
unfortunately Kamala
13,000 of them
Harris's wide open southern
murderers,
border. And I asked my fellow
15,000
Americans to remember,
rapists.
when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Congress. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
Yeah, they never mentioned that. They did all of these executive
Do you
orders
care to
on the first
respond to any
day.
of those specific allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children?
The drug mule is not true, but I will say about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. 30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do.
Oh, come on,
let's
dude.
go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the attorney general of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look,
Was that
we all
behind
wanna
her
solve
walled
this.
house
Most
with
of
the
us
gate
want
in
to
front of
solve
it?
this, and that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce.
We got a
That's the
comment from
Americans out there. That's why
Daniela.
we had the fairest and the toughest.
That's my Trumpy. That's my Trumpy, baby.
Love the
that this nation's
podcast.
seen. It
Shout
was
out.
adopted by
Thank
That's
you,
great.
Daniela.
Senator
Daniela.
from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle. Wants
That's
to get it
great.
done.
That's
Democrats
my
and
daughter's
Republicans
friend.
worked on this
I
piece of
didn't
legislation.
realize I could look at
The Border
comments.
Patrol said, this is what
This is
we
very
do.
high
These are
tech
the
what we do.
experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there.
Oh, I
1,500
can
border
too.
agents.
Wow.
Detection for drugs. DOJ money to speed up these the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no.
No,
Told
that's a
him to
lie.
vote against it
That's already been
because it
debunked.
gives him a campaign issue.
It's already
It gives
been
him
debunked. He had nothing to do with it. It was a
Donald Trump
shit
talked about,
bill.
we actually did some of these
Objection.
things, and
Come
they
on.
need to be
Objection,
done
Your Honor.
by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this. And he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it. Less than 2% of that wall got
And didn't
built.
you say
Okay.
you wanted to
Okay,
invest
no,
in
no,
a
no.
ladder
Here we
factory?
are again,
Right,
9 years
right.
after he came down that escalator.
Right.
You tool.
Right. You don't want the wall, but now you're making you're making it a position that he didn't build it like he said he would. What a fucking fraud. What a fraud. Laughable? You're laughable. I'm sorry. Does anybody see this?
Governor, your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens? You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country. And we know that they use
That's
children
right.
as drug mules. And it is
You
a
see how he
disgrace.
shook his
It's a
head?
fact.
Like, okay,
Has to
you
stop.
got me.
Look, I think
Yeah,
what
it's
this
a fact.
just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl.
Bring up the
They
ladder
did it on the
factory.
first. They did it on the
And
first day.
Now that she's running for president,
How old is
a few
Dan? I'm
months
cursing and
she
stuff.
says that
There could
somehow
be
she
kids
got
listening.
religion and cared a lot about
They're-
a piece
they're
of
over 18.
legislation. The
All right.
only thing that she did
Fuck it then.
when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president again.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, what about our CBS News polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportation?
There you go.
Look,
Yeah.
we fix this issue
Yeah.
with a bill that is necessary. But the issue on this is what happens when you don't want to solve it.
Bull crap.
Demonize it. And we saw this.
Just
And-
put
and
back
Senator
everything in
Vance was
place.
surprised
That
as
was
well
there.
in this.
That's it.
Right.
Talking about and saying, I will
Didn't
create
this
storage to bring
administration
attention to this.
tear down
But
razor
look, by a
wire,
large number of people who were here
bring
legally
in
the
Bulldozers
community.
and shit or whatever it was.
bulldozers, tear down the cargo, the freight liners, the buoys in Texas. Get the fuck out of here,
I know.
guy.
I
You're
know.
fucking pissing me off. I'm
I
gonna
know.
go through like 4 vapes tonight.
Easy.
Oh,
Look at that.
Blackout.
See the power went out for a second. Holy shit.
Wants to solve this, but by standing
Fire
with
up that
Donald
gas
Trump
generator.
and not
No,
working
it's
together
a
to
battery
find a solution,
backup.
It becomes
Oh,
a talking
well.
point. And when
Yeah,
it becomes a
fancy.
talking point
Bullshit.
like
I have no
this,
battery
we
backup.
dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Tim,
Governor, your time is up. Senator, I'll give you 1 minute, but let me just
Let
ask
me
you the
just jump in
question
right here.
first. The governor has made the point, and I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know
Aren't
that
you supposed
Congress
to shut
controls
up?
the purse strings
Yeah.
and any funding. So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree?
Like
that
Joe tore it
Congress
apart
controls the
through
purse
executive
strings and would
action.
need to support many of the changes that you would actually want?
Does she
to
even
implement?
understand what
One
she's
minute.
saying?
Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at
Yep.
the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border
Just-
more than
just-
our borders are. Kamala Harris has been, and it's actually heartbreaking because the border patrol agents they just want to be empowered to do their job.
Well,
Of
she
course,
was
additional
just there
resources
last
would help,
week.
but most
Oh,
of
yeah.
this is about the president and the vice
And that was a-
president
that was
empowering our law enforcement.
insanity,
Arizona.
too.
If you try to
Stupid.
come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico. You've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield,
gassy.
and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield.
Oh,
Look,
dude, I'm
in
jacked up.
Springfield,
It's like my
Ohio,
third-
and in
third
communities
mug
all
of
across
coffee.
this country,
Really?
you've got
Yeah.
schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes.
For
the
homes.
people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American
And they're in
citizens
hotels.
who have
I
had
think.
their lives
Are they in
destroyed by
hotels?
Kamala Harris'
Of course they're in
open
hotels.
border.
Yeah.
It is a disgrace.
That's
to
a
them.
known
And
fact.
I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is
Ooh,
up.
I
Governor,
like
you
that.
have 1 minute to
I like that,
respond.
JD.
It
It,
is law
he just gave me a
enforcement that
compliment.
ends the bill.
Look at him. He doesn't
They
know what.
helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. That's because they know we need to do this.
The
Look,
bill
this
was filled
issue
with
of
money for
continuing to bring
Ukraine.
this up,
That's
Oh, my
why
God.
it
I
didn't
know.
pass.
And-
of blaming
Can we
migrants
deal
for
with the
everything.
problems here?
But
On
John,
housing,
John,
we can
they
talk a
sent the
little
money
bit about
fucking
Wall Street
anyway.
speculators
Right.
They just sent the
finding
money.
ways to
They
make
just
that
gave
less
this
affordable.
fucking guy
But it
$8
becomes
billion,
a blame.
dude.
Look, this
We
bill
could
also
like build
gives
a
the money
freaking
necessary
wall
to
10 times
adjudicate.
over with the amount of
I
money that
agree.
we
It
gave
should
to
not take
that
7 years
country.
for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. Look, I don't talk about faith a lot, but Matthew 25,
Is Tim
40
Walz on
talks about,
coke?
to the least amongst us you do unto
Who
me.
said that?
That's
Your
true of
son.
Most Americans. They
Somebody named Connor. I don't know.
to it.
Maybe it's not your son.
Does it, it's funded. It's supported by the people who do it.
I don't
and
know.
It lets us keep our dignity
No,
about
I don't-
how we treat other
I don't
people.
think so.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify,
I'm going back to
Maybe.
you get deported, you get deported, you get
Yeah.
deported.
Yeah.
You're all getting deported. See you later. Adios, Jose.
Margaret, but
Thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
We're
because
gonna turn now to the
debate-
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys weren't
economy,
going to
we're-
fact check, and since
Right.
you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply
Right.
for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That
Thank
is
you,
the
Senator.
facilitation of illegal immigration.
That's right.
Margaret,
That's
by
exactly
Thank you,
what it
Senator,
is.
for
By our
My
own
family
government.
My family went through Ellis Island. I mean, come on.
No.
Those
We have
laws
so
have been on
much-
the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
We
CBP
want to
One
have,
app
And
is
what they had the app in 1990? You
No.
putz.
No, that.
gentlemen, you're.
Oh, they shut the mics
audience
off.
Can't hear you because your mics are cut.
Wow.
So much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
The eyes, Chico, they never lie. I like that.
The economy is a
right.
top concern
I like
for
that line.
voters. Each of your campaigns has released an economic plan, so let's talk about
That's a
the
movie
specifics.
line.
Governor Walz, Vice President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit. The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion.
Yeah, don't listen to them. They're dumb
How would you
bastards
pay for
there.
that without ballooning the deficit? Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Come on.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up and understand. So those of you out there listening tonight, you're hearing a lot of stuff back and forth, and it's good. It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me?
Right.
The bold
Oh, we're listening, all right,
Kamala
Timmy.
Harris put out there is one is talking about this housing issue.
The 173 thousand people that applied for asylum and never showed up to court.
Assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house is much.
I got
more
my
than
fact
just an
checkers
asset to be
sending me
traded
text
somewhere.
messages
It's
through my
foundational to
computer.
where you're
I
at.
love.
And then
I know we're
making sure
talking
that
over
the
him,
things
but
you
like
buy every
this is
day, whether
unusual
it's
for the
prescription
Oddfathers
drugs
because
or
normally we
other
don't have
things, that
facts.
there's fairness in
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we
The
try.
$35 insulin
Right.
is a good thing.
You know what I mean?
But it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis, prices went down on rent 4%. It's working. And then making
working.
sure tax cuts go to the middle class. $6,000 child tax credit, we have one in Minnesota, reduces.
And I
child
haven't
poverty
seen
by a
one
third.
person
We
in
save
Minnesota
money
that
in the
likes
long
him.
run,
Anyone
and
that's
we do
been
the right
interviewed,
thing for
even
families.
on
And
the
then
other
giving
channels,
businesses
like
all
the
back.
mainstream
The law
media.
as it stands right
Even
now is
his
$5,000
family
tax
doesn't like
credit
him.
for small business.
Yeah, was that really his
That's
family?
real. That's real, his family, yes.
Donald Trump
Are you
made a
kidding?
promise, and I'll give you
Yes.
this.
Wow.
He took folks in Mar-a-Lago, said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it. It would
He already
decrease
did
inflation
it.
and
He
potentially
already put a
lead to
tariff on
a
everything,
recession.
and nothing
Look,
happened.
This is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do. We'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that, our system works best. More people are participating in it, and folks have the things that they need.
So I guess all
Senator,
the
I wanna
wealthy
give you a
people
moment to
are going to
respond
be,
on
all
that,
your
but
friends are going to be
similarly, the
paying their
Wharton
fair
School
share.
has done an analysis of the Trump plan and says it would increase the nation's deficit by $5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning the deficit? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer. A lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do, and some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border, and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now. Not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that
She should have
isn't
done it
tells you a
3.5
lot
years
about
ago.
how much you
Exactly.
can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record.
Was that fucking
A lot of
Santa?
those
What is
same
that?
Economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom. Because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest
What was that?
take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense, I say look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts. But if you look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay to middle-class and working-class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country. That is a record that I'm proud to run on, and we're going to get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream again.
I mean, I think
know a
he's
lot of
spot
you are
on right
struggling.
now, dude.
know
I
a
think
lot
he's
of you are
blowing
worried
this
about
this
paying the
this
bills.
little lame
It's
ass
gonna
away.
stop when
I'm
Donald
sorry.
Trump
That's my opinion,
brings back
and I'm
common
entitled to
sense
an
to this
opinion,
country.
right?
Governor, do you want to respond to that? What
I'm
has
getting a
Kamala
comment
Harris
from
done
my
for the
brother.
American
The
people?
reason
Kamala
why
Harris's
she
day
never
one
did anything in
was
3.5
Donald
years is
Trump's
because
failure on
Democrats
COVID that
want to
led
be
the
in
collapse of our
office
economy.
for a
We were already
lifetime.
before COVID
Yeah.
And do the
in a manufacturing
minimum
recession.
amount of
10 million
work.
people out of work,
Yeah.
largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one. Whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted.
That's right.
If you're going
That's
to be
right.
president,
For the
you
most
don't
part.
have all the answers. Donald
Yeah,
Trump
but you
believes he
can't say
does.
that they're not-
My
some of
focus
they're not
the
full of
day is
shit.
this. If you need hard
They
to
lied.
listen
Right,
to
the
the
all of them.
35 the 35 of them about the Russian
No,
hoax?
no,
Give me the
51.
fuck break,
It was
dude.
51. 51, John.
Okay, thanks for
But
fact
see,
checking.
all of
You're
these
paying
things
your
came out.
taxes every
Oh,
year.
God.
And
Right,
Donald Trump
after.
hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15
Oh
years.
my God.
Oh, that's such
Oh, my God.
bullshit.
That's what's wrong with
To
the
see,
system.
all they're
There's
doing
a
is
way around it,
attacking
and
Trump.
he's
There's no
bragged about that.
policy.
We're
There's
just
not
asking
talking
for
about
fairness in it,
policy
and that's all you want.
and facts.
Let's talk facts. 1% of the
Okay, all right.
population.
Oh, I want to hear what he has to say.
Experts
Hold
for
on, hold
40
on, hold on.
years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom.
That's right.
Which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator,
I agree with
Governor
that.
Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
If you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were.
It's the same fucking argument every year. Every 4 years, it's the same shit.
I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair
They've been in
trading
charge
partners.
for
That's something that
12
we
of the
believe in.
last
I think
16
the thing,
years. Who the
most
fuck are they
concerns me on this
blaming?
is
Right.
Donald
That's what I'm
Trump
saying.
was the guy
4 years,
who
he ruined
created the
everything
largest
that they've.
Right.
Yeah.
deficit in
Oh,
American
it's
history
just
with China.
you have to be a
So the
fucking
rhetoric is
nincompoop.
good.
That's a
Much of what the
great
senator
word,
said right there, I'm in
nincompoop.
agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked.
Does
about
anybody?
that.
You guys know what that means,
We
nincompoop?
had people undercutting the right
Idiot.
to collectively bargain. We had
You
right to work states
moron.
made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home.
What,
The
like
issue is
BlackRock
Donald Trump is
and
talking about it.
Vanguard?
Kamala
Oh,
Harris
fuck,
has
I
a
just got
record
us banned
250,000
for
more
life.
manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So,
Thank
so
you.
Appreciate that. So if you notice what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
No, that's a
show
gross
that he
generalization.
did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim,
Double
I
talk.
think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on health care then.
Senator
Okay.
A lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal
they're still going? How about a break,
qualifications.
Su-
The vice
Su-
president is often
honey?
the last
So we can make
voice
some
the
comments?
president hears
Yeah.
before making consequential decisions.
Okay.
We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989.
That was a lie.
Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year.
Okay,
But he
please
did
explain this away.
Can you explain
Ha-
that
yeah?
discrepancy?
No, no.
You have 2
Yeah,
minutes.
well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural town of 400.
Dude, I just saw water everywhere.
I grew up in small rural. Okay, answer the fucking question. Answer the fucking question.
Passionate about it. A young teacher.
Answer it.
My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China.
Thanks. And on every Wednesday, I whacked off, but nobody knows that. I'm sharing with you, the American people.
To take
Shut
young
up.
people there. We would take basketball teams.
What an
we would take
idiot.
Baseball teams. We would
And
take
and I
dancers.
Oh my
paid for
God.
my
We would go
trips
back
to
and forth.
China
We
with
take
the
baseball
tampons
teams.
I
Yeah,
sold.
all little kids, Tim.
Now look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at.
They know who you are.
Look,
You sent
I will
fuck.
be
A
the-
fucking
I
liar.
poured my
All
heart
right.
into my community.
When you
I
yell,
tried
for
to
some
do the
reason,
best I
your-
can,
your mic
but I'm
cuts
not
out.
Perfect.
All right.
And I'm a knucklehead.
No,
We know
I'm not
you're-
saying
we know
don't
you're
yell.
a fucking liar.
Those same
No, I
people
don't say you
elected
don't
me to
yell. I
Congress
just maybe there's a way you
for 12
adjust
years.
it or something.
And in Congress,
All right,
I was one of the most
figure it out.
bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans.
Farm
benefits.
bills.
And then the
What
people of
about
Minnesota
wherever the was it Hong Kong? Where was he supposed to be?
Twice. So look,
Yeah,
my commitment
Tiananmen
has been
Square.
from the
Yeah.
beginning
In Hong
to
Kong.
make sure that I'm there for the people.
He
To make sure
didn't
that I
answer
get
the
this
fucking
right. I will
question.
say more than anything. Many
Wake
times
up.
I
Please
will talk
wake
a lot.
up.
I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But
JD
being
should
there,
just say,
the
Tim,
impact it
can you
made,
answer the question?
Being
Here's
there,
my
he
2
said he
minutes.
went. Wait a minute, but wait, he said he was there. I'm sorry, maybe I was.
I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a
Never
trade war
pri-
that he ends up losing. So this is
This-
John, did he answer? Did he answer the question?
Hold on. This fucking prick went to fucking China 25 times while he was in the National Guard. 25 times with security clearance. I hope they nail this guy as a friggin'
that people care about.
what he is.
What he is.
To follow
Exactly.
up on that, the
Okay.
question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on
No.
this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So
Again, he misspeaks every fucking time. This is your vice president. I'm sorry, I misspoke when I said press the fucking red button.
in China during the democracy protests.
What are you kidding me?
And from that,
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
learned a lot
off my
of
rocker. I
what
am.
needed to be in governance.
He's just like
Thank
Kamala,
you, Governor.
a moron.
Senator Vance, in 2016,
Please
you
tell me
called your
people,
running mate, Donald
even people
Trump,
who are like, I'm with her, are like,
for the
holy
nation's
shit.
highest office, and you said
They
he
have to
could
be.
America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret those comments and explained you then voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump
All right,
thoroughly
fucker, you
failed
better
to
have a
deliver
good
his
fucking
economic
explanation for this
calculus.
shit.
You're now his running mate.
I'm sorry.
and
I
you've
wanna hear
shifted
it.
Many of your policy stances to align
It better
with
be good.
his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to
Because I
hear?
grew
Because I
up in
don't
a
kiss his
middle
ass
class.
all the time.
Because I grew up in a middle
He
class
wants to
town
hear.
family,
You have 2 minutes.
and I misspoke.
Because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one
Right.
of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews is because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out to messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent that I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round.
He's not addressing
if
Nora at
Congress
all.
was doing its job.
But she's
I
asking the
strongly
questions, I
believe,
guess,
and
the
I've been
other
a
one.
United
But
States
still.
senator, that Congress is not just a high-class debating
Nora has
society. It's
nice
not
eyes.
just a forum for senators and congressmen to whine about problems. It's a
Easy
forum
killer.
to govern.
I'm
there
just
were
saying.
a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have
That's
done
about
so
it.
much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're not, probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is
He
he
kept them.
continued some of the Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers.
Timmy's writing with his
unless
crayon.
Our country stands up
Yeah.
for itself and says you're not accessing our.
Surprised he
markets
doesn't
unless
have
you're paying
earrings on.
Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up. Nora?
Thank you.
That's an inside
Now to the
joke.
issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz,
Oh, there's no
after
commercial
Roe versus
breaks
Wade
here.
was
This is good.
overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind.
No, it isn't.
Donald Trump put this all
No,
in
I'm sorry,
motion.
it isn't.
He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade. 52 years of personal autonomy. And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states.
This guy
It's a
looks like
beautiful
Don
thing.
Rickles.
Okay, we send it to the states. That's the
Amanda
way it was
Jaworski
and the way it should
disagree
be.
with you on it's a beautiful
Let the people
thing.
vote, not
A
the
young
government.
bride in Texas
Not
waiting
the
for their child
big,
at
you know,
18
whatever.
weeks. She has a
Big government.
complication, a tear in
States,
the membrane.
not the
She
federal
needs to
government.
go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy. She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child, raped and impregnated by her stepfather. Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said,
is
two
horrific.
wrongs don't make a right. There is no right in this. So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will.
Okay.
Their Project 2025 is going to
See, their project,
There we
that's
go.
already been
There we-
debunked. I don't understand why the networks, why they let him get away with this. They have to call him out.
The lady
They have
who
to call
wrote
him
it
out, dude.
Was in front of the Senate and said that she wrote the financial
Right.
part of it.
No, I
And
know.
never spoke to Trump.
I know, but you know what? The dumb goobers sitting on their shitty recliners, right, in their shitty pajama pants right now, are going, "Yeah, that Project 2025,
It's not even them.
morons."
It's the soy drinking.
No, I know. I try to be, you know, a little middle of the road.
The guy with the
Fuck 'em.
fucking man
You're right.
bun.
Many other
Yeah,
countries
well,
in the world. This is about health.
I guess,
In
yeah.
Minnesota, we are ranked first
Anybody
in
that
healthcare
thinks
for a
this
reason.
is the
We
future.
trust women, we trust doctors.
Senator, do you want to respond to the governor's claim? Will you
Tim,
create?
Tim,
Yeah, but
you
did he
put
answer it?
tampons. You put
No, no.
tampons in the
Yeah, but
men's
did he
bathrooms.
answer the 9-month
Certainly
thing?
won't.
Did he
I
answer
wanna
it?
talk about this issue because I know
No.
a lot of Americans care
I don't
about
think
it.
he
and I know
did.
a lot of Americans don't agree with everything that I've ever said on this topic. And, you know, I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who
I
had
think he's
unplanned
trolling
pregnancies
Kamala
and
with
decided
that.
to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And, you know, one of them is actually very dear to me. And I know she's watching tonight, and I love you. And she told me something a couple years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive relationship. And I think that what I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do on the public policy front just to give women more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia.
That's
Georgia
right.
has a different
That's why you
viewpoint from
give it back
Arizona.
to the
And
states.
The proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Governor, would you like to respond and also answer the question about restrictions?
Yeah, well, the question got asked.
He
Donald
didn't answer
Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care.
Her
Amber
care.
Thurman
It was an
died
abortion.
in that journey.
What happened to
back
her?
and forth.
How old was she?
The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation...
Was she raped?
say that
Sodomized?
Your life
No, the fact of the
and your
matter, she
rights,
waited.
as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography. There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today.
Well, then she should be
That's why
fucking
the
living in Minnesota
restoration of
then.
Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk
No,
about
maybe
it,
not. I don't
you
know.
hear
I don't know how I
something
feel
exactly
about
the
this.
same.
I do
Donald
agree with the
Trump is
states
trying
thing.
to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that.
I
You
think
mentioned
Amber
it was, I think,
Thurman's the
referring to
one
a
that had the
national ban. In the
abortion,
past,
and then
you
they
have
left a
supported
piece of the
a
baby in
federal
her, and
ban
she died of
on abortion
sepsis.
after
Yeah,
being
but yeah,
released.
but so that
In fact, you said
So
someone
it was a
can't
botched
support legislation
medical
like that.
procedure.
You are
something like
making
that.
the
Yeah,
United
I don't know.
States the
I saw
most
something like that.
barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the
I don't know the
entire
facts on
world.
that, so I don't want to say
My question is,
this is what
why have
happened
you
or anything. I
changed
don't
your
know anything
position?
about it.
Well, Nora, First of all, I never supported a national ban. I did when I was running for Senate in 2022 talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not, though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. So many young women also see an unplanned pregnancy as something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships. And we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making child care more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that. And that's what real leadership is.
Governor, your response.
I'm going to respond on the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice. We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages, women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be.
Yeah, but that's not the general. That's not the majority of abortions. I'm sorry. I mean, am I wrong? So I wish we had somebody to fact check that. It doesn't appear to me that the main thing is all of these different oddball scenarios. A lot of kids are having sex. They don't want to have a family. They don't want to have a baby, so they go and they knock it off.
You guys are pro-abortion.
Right?
That's not the case at all.
But when a guy says, you know what, I'm not taking care of that baby, he's bound for 18 years.
To make options for
What if he doesn't get to walk away?
$6,000 child tax credit.
Does he get to walk away? He's doing what's best for him. Hey, fuck it, I can't afford it. I don't want a kid. I didn't want to get pregnant either.
To that. First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber.
But if she decides to have the kid, he can't walk away.
Be alive, and I certainly wish that she was.
But he doesn't have. The father doesn't have a say.
You're free to disagree with me on this.
The girl can just go and kill the kid, have an abortion. Sorry, have an abortion.
Signed into law. The statute that you signed into law
Doesn't make sense to me.
That a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris is suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country where we respect people's freedom of conscience and make the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their health care decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me. What was
good,
I
good, good.
The way the law is written.
Okay, tell me how it's written. How?
Right.
Exactly.
Advice on a lot of things that
Keep going, bro. Keep going.
Checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these
Checked by
guys
who? The
to
two
try
morons
and tell
running it?
women or to get involved. I use this line on this. Just mind your own business on this. Things work best when Roe versus Wade was.
Mind your own business.
When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't.
You're so
preclude
pro
us
women. You want
from
men in
increasing
women's
funding
sports.
for children.
You
doesn't
want
increase
tampons
us.
and boys'
Right.
bathrooms.
It's about women's
Yeah.
women's health care.
Women's rights.
Tell that to the Tell that the girl got her face busted open by a volleyball.
Hiding behind we're going to do
or the boxers
when
in
you're
the
not
Olympics.
proposing in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with much more of the CBS
All right, a
News
break.
Vice Presidential debate.
All right, we're gonna. We should. I should have took more beer in here. Oh my God, dude!
All right,
What
mute
is
them. Mute
this?
them.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me get to that.
Bro, I came prepared. I got like 2 vapes. Where's the other one? There you go. I'm like, I just want to say this: 1% of the population, the top 1% of money earners, pays 43% of all taxes. The bottom 50% pays 2%. Us Us are in the middle. We're paying the rest.
And it's been the case for a long time. Again, and one thing you said before, back then, and this is what again, to all of you that are listening, because I love this thing so much. 16 years. They were in charge. Trump was in charge for 4 years.
Exactly.
And they blame the world is end. He destroyed the world. No, what he did was he destroyed their minds. He destroyed their fucking scam is what he did.
Roe
So
versus
you don't want to
Wade-
put this up. You don't want to. You want to not because of false news and all that. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. It's the truth, though. Just this is what I mean. Grown people don't see the truth. You're blaming the world's problems on a guy who made everything better. Nobody raided your house if you were gay. Nobody stops you from getting fucking married. Nobody did anything. I feel like I'm repeating what I said the last time.
No,
but it's
go.
the truth.
Preach,
It's
brother.
the truth. No, but it is. It's the truth. So shut the fuck up. Shut up and just what don't you understand? This is this is what they're doing. They're playing to your hearts. They're so nice. They're so nice. We just care about girls. We just care about women's reproductive and women's. It's women's choice. Okay, everybody has to make a fucking choice. You make choices every single day. That's what you do as an adult. You make choices. As a kid, you have to make a choice. Do I want to eat this? Do I want to do this? Do I want to go here? You make choices every day. So I don't want to hear it. Now you're talking about a baby who could be 6 months old and you're going to abort it. That's a heavy thing. And I don't know, dude. I have 2 daughters, so I don't know. You know, you have a daughter. I wouldn't want her to be, obviously, if she was, if her situation was that she was in dire needs of, she was going to die, then I'm like, well, I mean, I have to try to save, I would try to save my daughter's life, right? You would always try to save your daughter's life. Absolutely. You wouldn't let your daughter die to let, I don't know. You would have to take care of it if something was wrong like that. But I don't believe that that's the majority of the cases. I don't believe that that's the majority of the abortions are because of rape, incest, this and that. You can't tell me that. And I believe that the majority of the people that are getting abortions, females, are women of color. Am I wrong about that?
That's what statistics show.
Okay, no, it's the truth, right? I mean, I don't want to stigmatize anybody. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people are waking up to this vicious cycle that these fuckers have us in. I think they're waking up and saying, hey, you know, you make decisions, man. You do what you want to do. I think, and wasn't it like that before? Back to the states. Didn't the states have it until Roe versus Wade? The states had it.
Right. The Constitution was written that everything should be the states, and the state they used to have to come to the states and ask for money. Like New York would have to come to Florida and say, "We need $1 billion to build a bridge to send it to the government, to the federal government." That's the way it used to be. Now we just send money to these schmucks up in D.C. and they piss it away.
I know.
Like,
it's unfucking real. I think they're back. These knuckleheads. Whoops. Wrong one. Uh-oh.
And I want to get to this climate change bullshit. Do you really think
and
insurance
legislation
companies
to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, including AR-15s? So let me ask
Hold
you,
on a second.
Earlier this year,
Hold on,
for the first time,
'cause I wasn't paying
the
attention.
parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Do you think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous. But look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope
I got
and
people
such
telling
joy
me.
and such pride
Oh,
at their
dude,
little
I got
faces on the
comments
first day
out
of
the
school. And we
wazoo.
know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartels. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers.
Yeah,
because
dude, if the doors are
idea
locked, I mean, the
that we
doors
can
need to be
magically
locked.
wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience.
What
We've
school
got to
doesn't
make
have
our
locked
schools
doors?
safer, and I think we've got to have some common
At
sense
this point.
bipartisan solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look,
Yeah,
I got a,
yeah.
I got a
Take your guns.
17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead.
Bro, you
And they were
let
asking us to do
BLM
something.
burn
And look,
down
I'm
your
a-
city.
I know.
Your wife
Vice
opened
President.
her
We
windows so she
understand
could
that
smell the
Second
tires
Amendment
burning,
is
bro.
there.
Yeah,
Our first
yeah,
responsibilities to our kids. to
Yeah, he's a gem.
In Minnesota, we've enacted.
Dude, did you see the video?
red flag
And
laws.
again, I haven't
Enhanced
verified it, but
background
did you
checks.
see the
And
video
we
of
can start to get data, but here's the problem.
the
If we
cop,
really
the
wanna
national
solve this,
cops or whatever,
we've got folks
shooting
that won't
paintballs at
allow
people in
research
Minnesota
to
to get
be
back
even
in their
done on
houses
gun
during
violence.
COVID.
And this
Yes, I
idea
did see that.
that we should
I
just
saw
live with
that.
it, and I here's what I do think that
They
this
were
is a good
driving down
start
the
to
street,
conversation.
marching
They were just
down the
walking in a
100%
pack.
believe that
Get
Senator
back in
Vance
your house.
hates
And now
it
it's a
when these
video I
things
saw.
get
I don't know if
to
it's
the
true.
floor, and
I don't know
it
if
breaks
it's
your
AI.
heart.
I don't know if
agree with
anything's
that.
AI
But
anymore.
that's
This could
not
be
far
freaking
enough
AI
when
for
we
all you
there are
know.
Things that work. I've spent time in Finland.
But they did a
It's
bad
such a
job on
nation.
Waltz if it is.
They don't have this
'Cause then it's
happen,
accurate.
even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country.
Make an AI
it's a
about Tim
hologram of
Walz
Don
in a
Rickles.
debate against J.D. Vance.
To make a difference.
No, it's a
not
Tim- it's a
infringing
Don
on your
Rickles
Second Amendment.
hologram.
And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I
Bullshit.
ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go when we know?
Yeah, when we have a mental health
countries around
crisis
the
and
world
fucking crazy
that their
people
children aren't
who are
practicing
bent out about who they are and what they are shooting kids? Yeah, they do have to look like that, you
These are
fucking
things that
asshole.
shouldn't be that difficult. You can still
Yeah,
keep your
yeah, they do.
firearms, and we can
The
make
good
a
old days are
difference.
gone,
If you're
unfortunately, for
listening
all of
tonight,
us.
This breaks your heart.
You know what works?
Yeah, it does.
Senator.
You know what
Tim,
works?
first of all, I
Good
didn't know there
guys
was
with
17-year-old
guns
witness
against
shooting.
criminals
I'm
with
sorry
guns.
about that.
That's
I
what
appreciate
works.
it. Okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said actually about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly weird differences between our own country's gun violence
And it's
problem
culture.
Dude,
It's
dude,
culture.
he's
first of
trolling
all,
them.
we
No, but it's
have
culture.
way higher rates
No,
of
he's
Mental health. Here we go.
or
Listen.
mental health, substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way
Yep.
higher rates of anxiety.
That's right.
We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it. Another
I
driver
agree.
of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off the streets. I think there's a whole host of things that we can do here, but I do think at our schools we've got to talk about more security.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA.
You become friends with school shooters? He just said he became friends with school shooters.
My shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this.
All right, guys, good practice. I'm going to go shoot some birds.
The number one
And that's fine. I hunt.
firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we
Yeah, because of the
and we
mental
should
health
look at all of
crisis.
the issues.
Very good, Tim.
Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns.
Yeah, it's just the guns walk into a school and shoot people.
But I do think that this is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation.
It's just
I
the
think there's
guns.
a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect the Second Amendment.
Nobody in their right fucking mind wants to go into a school and shoot kids. They're fucking deranged. Shut up. Shut up.
The high cost of housing.
Shut
and
up.
rent. There's a shortage of more
My
than
guns
4
have
million
never
homes
shot
in the United
anybody.
States.
I know hundreds of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people with guns. Not one of them has ever gone and shot up a school or anyone.
$25,000 down
They're full of
payment
crap.
assistance for first-time home buyers. And
I just got one of the best comments ever. All the cities were much better when the mobsters used to take care of them.
Where are you building
It's
these
the truth.
homes, and won't handing out that kind of money just drive up prices higher?
Shout out to
And,
CJ on that one.
First, let me say this issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this, the problem we've had is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity. It can be bought up, it can be shifted, it can be moved around. Those are not folks living in those houses. Those of you listening tonight, that house is a big deal. I bought and owned one house in my life. My mom still lives in the house where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass where you go with your family. We need to make it more affordable. And one of the things, as I said, this program
Why
that the
haven't
Vice
you?
President is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there, one of the, certainly for me,
The
using
fine
GI
print
Bill
on
is
the
one thing, but a
25,000.
veteran's home loan, the big thing about a veteran's home loan is you don't have to pay the down payment. Those are things that make it there. Now, look, you're going to pay it back.
Yeah, but that you
and you're
fucking
gonna
had
pay
nothing
the
to do with that. That's a
mortgage. Those are
VA loan.
things
You have
that go
nothing to
along
do
with
with
the
that.
appreciated value,
taking
Shut up.
generational wealth.
You
Yeah,
can't-
but the
is he taking credit for that?
Minneapolis is an example.
Dude, the fine print
Minneapolis
on
is
her
the one city where we've seen the lowest
$25,000 down
inflation rates.
payment,
We've seen a
it's for
12%
somebody that's
increase in
never
stock
owned a
because we've
home.
put some of
Meaning,
these things
your
in.
nobody
And
in your
we're
family could own a
implementing
home.
a state
Who were
program
they
to make sure we get
pandering
some of
to?
that down payment
Who
assistance.
were they
I wonder.
The
I wonder.
25,000
People with stable housing end
illegals?
up with stable jobs.
Yeah.
People with stable housing have their kids able to get to school. All of those things in the long run end up saving our money. And that's the thing that I
He's
think
just
we should be
they're
able to
just
find
blowhards,
some
dude.
common
I'm
ground
sorry.
in.
I wish
But we can't
I wished I
blame,
saw somebody from them that was
immigrants
really
for the
like
only reason.
stellar,
It's not
that
the
stood
kids
out, was like
happening in these
stellar.
cities.
You know what I
The
mean?
fact of the
There's
matter
nobody.
is that we don't have enough
There's nobody of
natural
substance there at
affording,
all. It's all
housing,
smoke
but
and
we can
mirrors.
make sure that the government's there to
The
help
only one they
kickstart
had,
it, create
Joe
that-
Lieberman.
create that base.
And he's
I mean,
dead.
yeah, I wasn't crazy about him, but yeah, he was a real
As far
dude.
as your
Yeah.
campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising, and what part of any of this
In your
plan
neighborhood,
provides
Margaret.
immediate-
It's not up to the government to build these
First of
homes.
all,
Margaret, hey.
Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to
Everybody should have equity. Margaret, you have 15 acres. We're going to take 7.5 of it.
For letting in
Exactly.
millions of illegal aliens into this
That's called
country,
equality.
which does
Yeah, it's equity.
drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of ideas. Now, some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with. But the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not sit around and campaign and do nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
while
do it.
Americans find
She's
the
got
American
35 25 days,
of
she
homeownership
didn't give a
completely
shit.
unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens if you lower energy prices? As Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill. One of the biggest drivers of housing costs, aside from illegal immigration, is, think about it. If a truck driver's paying 40% more
It's
for
oil.
diesel,
Oil
then
rules
the
everything
lumber he's
around me.
delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up
I don't have a
American
thing for that
energy, you will get
acronym.
immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic goods, too.
Senator Vance, you still have 23 seconds there. Do you want to answer?
Can I have it?
Where, yeah. Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But Senator, where are you going to seize the federal lands? Can you clarify?
Well, what Donald Trump has said is we have a lot of federal lands that aren't being used for anything. They're not being used for national park. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing. And I do think that we should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be used. We have a lot of Americans that need homes. We should be kicking out illegal immigrants who are competing for those homes, and we should be
Yeah,
building
no
more
doubt.
homes for the
And
American
all they're doing,
citizens
dude, is
who
they're just
deserve to be
building
here.
up.
Senator,
They're
your
building
time
up
is up.
apartment complexes.
Governor,
There's
I do
apartment
wanna let you
complexes going up
respond to
all
the
over the place.
allegation that the Vice President is
My city
letting
is like
in
ridiculous.
Of course, that's not
migrants,
true. And again,
that
you
it's
have the
affecting
facts. I
housing
guess we
prices.
agreed not to fact check. I'll check it. That look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's, again, blaming and
No, I don't
How can he
understand.
say that with a
Asking
straight
on this
face?
question, are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people
Is
hear
he-
federal lands, these
is he
really
saying, like,
important
this
pieces of
month?
land. Now, Minnesota doesn't.
You know what I
have a
mean?
lot of
Like
federal
this
land, although
month,
in the western
they're
part of
down?
the country we
Exactly.
do. There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is, I don't understand the federal.
We're gonna
lands
put the
issue.
oil well
Maybe-
in the
maybe
middle
you-
of the project.
Okay, fuck
That's
this
what
guy.
we're gonna do.
No, fuck this guy. Because this guy boasted. He boasted.
We've got about 20% of the
Okay.
world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason. They belong
Fucking
to all
idiot.
of us. But again,
Okay,
this
here you
is
go.
when you view housing.
He
and you view these
boasted.
things as
Let me get to this
commodities.
guy.
Like, there's a chance
We
to
have
make
more
money here. Let's
refugees
take
per
this federal
capita
land
than
and
any other
sell it to
state.
people for
That's
that.
not just
I think
morally a
there's
good thing.
better
It's our
ways to do this.
economic and
We've seen it in
cultural
Minnesota
future.
where able
So
to
his
refurbish some of these
vision is
houses,
to
we're able to
flood
make
your
investments
state
that get
and
people in
your
the township
country with
on the
more
back of this.
refugees.
Economists.
Do you understand?
Senator
They're
Vance
calling
said
them
he don't like the
refugees.
economists.
They're
Which
illegal
economists are
aliens.
saying that it is
They're here
immigrants that's adding to
illegally.
the cost.
Governor, your
Their
time
first
is-
act,
your time
their
is up.
moral
But
compass,
Senator,
their
I'm
first
not feeling
act
that,
was to
like
break
quoting
our
to
law.
there are many
Have a nice
contributing
day.
Factors to high housing costs.
Come
What
on.
evidence do you have that migrants
guy's a buffoon.
are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased levels of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire driver of higher housing prices. It's also the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris. Look, we are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But we increasingly have a federal administration that makes it harder to develop our resources, makes it harder to build things, and wants to throw people in jail for not doing everything exactly as Kamala Harris says they
You
have to do.
reduce
And what that
regulations, you
means
build
is
more
you have a lot of
houses.
people who
End
would
of
love to
story.
build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim Waltz. We should get out of this idea of housing as a commodity. But the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no legal right to be
Right,
here.
that's right.
There you
And big companies, which shall not be named,
Very quickly reply.
buying up all of these
I get this as a
houses
governor,
and apartment
I don't necessarily
complexes.
disagree with that. That in some cases, many of those are local, many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So
Bro.
which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you,
Well-
gentlemen.
Well, wasn't
We
she in
have a lot
Congress?
to get to.
Yeah.
You're passionate
It's-
about the housing
this is what I'm
crisis, I
saying.
can tell.
It's
Nora?
just so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the
Welcome.
top problems facing Americans is
Why don't
the
you guys
high
just
cost
kiss,
of
make out for a
healthcare.
couple seconds?
Senator
Maybe that'll
Vance,
get some more
At
ratings.
the last presidential debate,
And
former
spice it
President
up a
Trump
little
was
bit.
asked about
Sorry for all the
replacing
children
Affordable
listening
Care
out there.
Act. In response, he said,
Kids.
I have concepts of a plan. Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions won't pay more?
That
I'll
always
give you
that's
2
a
minutes.
that's a topic
Well, of
that always
course,
comes up.
we're gonna cover
Pre-existing
Americans with
conditions.
Pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people have criticized this concepts of a plan remark. It's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress, you're not going to propose a 900-page bill standing on a debate stage. It would bore everybody to tears, and it wouldn't actually mean anything because part of this is the give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president, and again, he has a record to be proud of, prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. You think about healthcare. You go into a hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more choice.
You go to the hospital and they charge you $42 for a Tylenol.
The reinsurance regulations.
It's
is what I was
insane.
talking about.
It is.
Donald Trump has said that if we allow states to experiment a little bit on how to cover both the chronically ill but the non-chronically ill, it's not just a plan.
And that's why the whole RFK is involved here, and that's what I like.
The United States, and I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along. And I think this is an important point about President Trump. Of course, you don't have to agree with everything that President Trump has ever said or ever done, but when Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access.
Look at the look on his face.
It's
just
perfect, of course.
scouring.
He's like, he keeps looking at them like, is he right? Is he give me like wink, give me like a high sign. Is he telling the truth?
My Google earpiece isn't
yeah.
working.
You some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why
We understand.
affordability and accessibility.
That alone right there
quality of
will make
healthcare.
me not fucking
And
vote
so
for that guy.
What I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden
she
wants
did
to
something?
go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to
stop
repeal
Obamacare. Right.
On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26.
Is that true?
Kamala Harris
Is any of this
negotiated
true?
Drug prices for the first time with Medicare. We have
The
10
moment
drugs that will come online.
I'm
the most common
tired of
ones
this
that'll be
guy's
there.
bullshit.
But
The
look,
moment
this
the
issue,
government stepped
and when
in,
Donald Trump said,
the prices
"I got
of
a
your
concept of a
premiums
plan,"
for
it
health
cracked me
insurance
up as a
went
fourth
through
grade
the
teacher
roof.
Through the roof.
Why?
And your
Because-
deductibles.
What
And your
Senator Vance
deductible.
just
Why?
explained
Because
might be worse
they're
than
getting
concept.
money from the
Because what he
federal
explained is
government,
pre-Obamacare.
okay?
And I'll make this as simple as possible.
That's
because
not
I have
how
done
the
this for a
system is
long time.
supposed to work.
What they're saying
Okay?
is,
If you're giving me
you're
money,
healthy,
I'm going to
why
raise
should you
my
be paying more?
rates.
So what
Okay?
they're going to do is let
Why
insurance-
does
'Cause I
the
make
gov-
more
why-
money.
Pick who they
Right.
insure.
Why do you
Guess what
need to know
happens?
how much
You pay
money
your
I
premium,
make to
it's not
determine
much.
my
They're figuring they're not
fucking
gonna have to pay out.
Health
my
insurance.
health insurance?
Those of you little
Why?
gray,
Tell me
Right.
why.
cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala
That's right.
Harris
That
will
whole thing,
protect
that whole
premiums.
marketplace is
The
based off of your income.
Governor, thank you.
Right.
Senator, you have not yet explained how you would protect people with pre-existing conditions or laid out that plan.
Well, look, we currently have laws and regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges.
Yeah.
Donald
So, like,
Trump
why?
actually
I don't want this
addressed that
insurance.
problem.
I want my
And he
own
did
shit.
so in a way that
I remember that,
preserved people's
dude.
access
I
to
remember that.
coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality,
Yeah.
Donald Trump was president,
They are.
inflation
Sure
was
they are.
low, take-home pay was
can't.
higher,
I
and he
come up with that
saved
stupid
the very
voice.
program
Fucking, what
from
am
a
I doing?
Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership. He did his job, which is govern in a bipartisan way and get results, not just complain about problems, but actually solve them.
Governor, did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people, whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then
So
what
you
happens
think the
is
individual mandate's a good idea?
you shrink. I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better.
No, I can tell you,
Kamala
Medicare
did
is
that. The way
Medicare
she
is
made
great.
Everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare.
It
for the
is.
first time in American history.
It's affordable, and it.
Can I address
I don't know.
We're out of time. We have
I didn't say
one minute to
Medicaid. I mean, that's
discuss
people
funding.
need
Let's
it,
talk
but
about
Yeah, but that's
families
people who
in
don't have any
America.
money.
Mm-hmm.
There is a child care crisis
Sure.
in this
So,
country.
so why
and the
did
United
why did the
States is one of
Biden-Harris
very few
administration
developed
take
countries in the
230
world
billion from
without
Medicare
a national
to
paid leave program
to
for new
fund
parents?
their EV tax
Governor Walz,
credits?
you
Right.
said that
You
if
see what I mean?
Democrats win both the White House and
It's just-
Congress, this is a day one priority for
and
you.
again-
They're literally hiding that. They
Should
took
employers be required to
$230
pay
million
workers
Million
from
dollars.
Medicare.
taking care of their
Right.
Billion.
To-
I'm sorry, billion would it be?
Yeah.
Oh, would it be?
That's
To build
negotiable, and
EVs.
that's what Congress
Right.
worked.
To
But here's
fund
what
the
deal is.
EV tax credits.
Americans
And
sitting out
EV
there right
tax
now,
credits,
when
right, so
they
those-
work for a big company,
That
work for a
7,500 when you go to buy a
Minnesota,
car,
Fortune 500.
that's where it's coming from.
Kamala
It's
Harris
coming
goes out and
from
are in
the people that
California.
paid into
It's
the
coming from
Medicare.
Medicare,
Companies
right?
provide
Right,
paid family
right.
medical leave. One is, I think they're moral in
They're
this. It's a good
hiding the
thing,
fact that
but
they
it
did
also
that
keeps their employees
till
healthy.
after the
We in
election because
Minnesota passed
the
a paid
premiums
family
for
medical leave.
Medicare are
You
going to
have
go
a
through the
child,
roof.
You. And
Oh
I
my
had to go
God.
back to work 5 days after my kids were born.
Shit.
This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start. The family works better. We stay in their employers. We get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota, and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue. Those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens.
I see a
You
Jen
end up
on there.
staying
It says
home. In
LOL.
some places, that
Who's
means
that?
no paycheck because you've got no protection on that.
My
This
friend.
is the case of an
Nice.
economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those tax breaks to the
Look at him. He looks
wealthiest.
like just like the
He's willing to
Burgermeister from
say,
the Christmas
"Fuck those
fucking show.
unions, do whatever."
Burgermeister
What we're saying
Meisterburger.
is
Did you
the
see his
economy
face? He was like,
when it works
he was
for
all-
us. And so paid family medical leave program, and I will
These
tell you,
damn
go to
toys.
the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to
Burn,
take it at
baby,
both the supply and
burn.
the demand side.
Minnesota
You can't expect the most
Inferno.
important
Oh.
Burn,
to
baby,
give our
burn.
children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business. And then
I
to make
can't.
sure that
It's
folks are
Kris
able to afford it.
Kringle
We were able
and
to
these
do it in
toys.
Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this.
His face
A
just cracked
federal
me up.
program of paid family medical leave and help with
Whatever,
this
I'm nuts.
will enhance our
I
workforce,
love
enhance our families,
all
and
got
make it
issues.
easier to have the children that you want.
Okay,
Governor,
what a
your time is
long-winded
up.
fucking
Senator,
answer.
Do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long should employers be mandated to pay their employees?
What about
while they are home
paternity
taking
leave?
care of their
Paternity
newborn?
leave.
You have
Yeah,
2
do we need
minutes.
that?
Yeah, well, first of all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some Democrats too.
Yes,
have
I think we
worked on
do.
this
He
issue.
just
I think
said,
there
is it a girl or a
bipartisan
boy who said
solution
that?
here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I
One
speak
roof
from
for
this
yes and
very
2 roofs for
personally
no.
Because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator. And I'm so proud of her But being a working mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company. But the cultural pressure on young families, and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer
I think
at
most
home with the
moms want to
kids.
spend
We
time
should
with their
have a
kids.
family care model that makes
if they like
choice
them.
possible. And I think this is a very important
Your
substantive
screen went
difference
out in the
between
back.
Donald Trump and
The
Kamala
power's going
Harris's
out
approach.
again. Damn
And
it.
look, if you
This
look
damn
at the federal programs,
shit that's going on.
Bill,
paid
Monty.
family leave right now, the community development block grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only
figure
go
that
to
out.
one kind of child care model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe
It's
to
live
help you out
TV,
with
brother.
childcare. Maybe
I
you live
know.
in a
I
rural
think it just
area
goes
or an
to,
urban area, and you'd like to
it
get
was going
together
to
with
sleep
families in
mode.
your neighborhood to provide childcare in the way that makes the most
Like
sense. You
everybody
get
listening.
access to any
No,
of these
shout out to the
monies.
57
We wanna
people
promote
watching it on
choice
Twitter.
and how
God
we
bless
deliver
you.
family care
God
and
bless you
all.
child care. Because look, it is unacceptable. And you know, of course, Tim and I have been on
Hit
the
those
that
stats.
a
like
lot the
and
past
share
7 or
button.
8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Senator, thank you. You have also said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month.
Great.
So I want to get your thoughts on this.
Fantastic.
President Trump recently said, as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. Is President Trump committed to the $5,000 per child tax credit that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers. It's the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan. Cut taxes for American workers and American families.
Lower prices.
Cut taxes for
Lower
businesses
prices.
that are
There's my-
hiring and building
there's my
companies
money.
in the United
Lower
States of
prices.
America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas. That's the heart of the economic proposal. And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, child care options that are viable.
Hey,
and
talking
workable
about
for a
family
lot
leave,
of
didn't
American families.
Pete Buttigieg, didn't he take?
Can you
Yeah,
clarify
yeah, he
how
did.
will
That's
solve
funny.
the child care
He
shortage?
did.
Well, because as Tim said, a lot of the
Did he
child
give
care
birth?
shortages, we just don't
Or
have
did-
enough
or did-
resources
I-
going
I-
into the multiple.
I don't know how that
people
works.
who
I don't know any of that.
providing family
I
care
want nothing to
options.
do with it.
And we're going to have to, unfortunately, look, we're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for
Fuck.
American families. Because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing these for essential
You're gonna
services.
get us
First of all,
banned.
Thank
no,
you,
fuck
Senator.
that. You know a guy
Governor
could never
Walz,
take that kind of
your
pain. So
ticket
give me that.
some child care
Okay.
tax credit
Exactly.
proposals. Do you
It
think
could never.
Congress will
We
agree
cry
to
like
the
little
$6,000
bitches.
credit
We would
for
want to.
newborns
We would.
and
Most of us would
$3,000
hang
credit for
ourselves.
children over the
Forget about
age
the
of 6
abortion.
as your campaign
Forget- yeah,
has
give him
promised.
We'd be
birth?
dead. Yeah, the kid would come out. We'd be dead.
Well,
I'd
if
be
these
like,
members of Congress are
"Where's the
listening to this, I can
drugs?"
tell you,
Drugs.
this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's 5,000 or 6,000, that pays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got
If
out of an
prices were
imbalance on
down,
this.
it wouldn't be
We
that
thought we were gonna get
expensive
by by
anymore
not
to
paying
have a
people. I don't think
child.
center events are that-
Does that
far
make
apart.
sense?
I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on
To you
on
and
options.
me.
We've done
But
scholarships,
I'm just saying,
things
if a
I think
box
we
of
need to be
cereal
open
wasn't
to making the case.
$8,
But the issue here
Right.
you know what I
is,
mean?
the
If
question you
bacon
asked
wasn't
is, we're not gonna
$8
pay for it with these
or
tariffs.
$9
That's
or whatever
just adding
the
another
freak it is,
$4,000
it wouldn't be
and
such a
making
big
less.
deal.
So not only do they not
If
get the
prices
money
were
to
normal,
pay for
you could
that,
afford
they're
to feed your kid
$4,000
and
in
maybe
the
have some
hole for
child
school.
care.
That's his alma mater. And so
I
I
don't know.
think the issue here is, if those
Hey,
members of
we just
Congress,
hit
I
58
can't believe they're not-
viewers.
When I go to business,
We got more than
sure, they'll talk about
CNN.
taxes
Yeah, baby.
with child care, and they will
Yeah.
The problem is, especially in a
Nice.
state like Minnesota, we need more workers
I see
because our economy's
on the
growing,
screen
we
up
need the
there. I see
workforce.
60.
Governor, thank
Oh,
you. We need
you're
to
ahead
move
of
on.
me. And
Nora?
Let's talk about
Well,
the
I'm
state
just
of
looking at the
democracy,
screen.
The top issue for
Live
Americans
viewers.
after the economy
60?
and inflation.
We got
we're-
59
After the
on
2020
X
election,
and
President Trump's
1
campaign
on
and others
YouTube, and that's
filed
probably the
52
fact checker.
lawsuits contesting the results. Judges, including
That's
those
the
appointed
fucking person
by
that's gonna be
President
like,
Trump and
"Banned!"
other Republican presidents.
Hey, let us
No,
know who you are
no,
on YouTube.
No, you violated our
widespread
policy
fraud.
of fucking being
The
honest.
governors of every state
If we
in the
had some
nation,
merch, we'd send it out to all of
Republicans
you.
and Democrats, certified
Yeah,
the
merch.
2020 election results
Merch.
and sent a
Please.
legal slate of electors to Congress for January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not
Can somebody
have certified the last
Uber eat
presidential
some beer to
election
Monty?
and would have asked
Yeah,
states
no, I
to
know,
select
right? I mean, I could have texted
alternative
somebody and
electors. That has been called
yeah, I should train the dog to do that.
unconstitutional and illegal. Would you again seek to
Bring me a
challenge
brew.
this year's
Hey,
election results?
I'm not
even
pulling
if
a Jeffrey
every
tube and the
governor
dog's actually down here
certifies
on my
the
lap.
results?
So.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was looking at your head. It was
looked
kind of
like-
moving a little weird.
How to solve the inflation crisis caused by
wearing
Kamala
pants,
Harris's
I promise.
policies, make housing
Damn.
affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question.
Just don't
because
get
you did
anything
ask
on
it.
the screen.
Look, what President Trump has
There are
said
kids
is that
watching.
There were problems in 2020, and my own belief
I
is
put
that
up
we
the
should fight
plexiglass.
about those
Thanks.
issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald Trump has said. Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House. And now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe
Not
that
to
we
mention all the
do have
lies.
a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies
Yeah, it's
silencing their fellow
TDS too,
citizens,
dude.
and it's Kamala Harris
It's alive.
saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. Of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree
That's
on
right.
every issue.
Was that
But
you
we're
or them?
united
No, we
behind
have a big
basic
crowd.
American First Amendment principle
In
that
here.
we ought to debate our differences. We ought to
They're all
argue
under the
about them. We ought
desk?
to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged
Forget
in
the beer.
censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues, and that to me is a much bigger threat to democracy than what Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January the 6th.
Governor?
Well,
he's right.
Tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here, and I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator. But
me too, man.
There's one though that this one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this, and the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up.
Ooh, that
He's
was a
very
good one,
clear.
Tim.
I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140
Hee-haw.
police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag.
How many
Several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota,
now it's
a group
later
gathered on the state
died.
Capitol grounds
Right.
in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked
we don't
with
know
people
who
long
was
enough to know, and I
chanting
said, as
that.
a football
We
coach,
don't- you
sometimes
don't
really
know
wanna win,
what-
But the democracy is
There's a
bigger
lot
than
of,
winning an election. You shake hands,
turmoil
and then
about
you
that
try and do
whole
everything you
day
can to help the other side
on
win.
who was
Tim,
there.
That's
Tim,
what was
Tim,
at
what
stake
were you
here.
doing
Now,
when
the thing I'm
BLM was
most concerned
burning your
about is
cities?
Right,
the
right.
idea
Please
that
explain
you're
that,
imprisoning
Tim.
your
Yeah, I hope
your
he says
political
that.
opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear
Like,
that.
blah,
So
blah, 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 blah,
I
blah, blah.
think
I'm
this issue
Joe
of
Biden.
settling our
Blah, blah,
differences
blah,
in the
blah,
ballot
blah, blah.
box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election.
See, that's
and the peaceful transfer
false.
of power.
That's
And
false.
here we
He
are,
did
Fact
not
check
try.
his ass.
in the same boat. I will tell you this. that when
Why
this
is it
over,
why
we
is
need
it bad
shake
to
hands
question
this
something?
election,
Since
and the
when
winner
is it
needs to
fucking
be the
illegal
winner.
and bad
This
to
has
question
to stop.
something?
It's tearing our
Didn't
country
Hillary
apart.
do it? Didn't they do it when Bush won?
Senator Vance, did you want to
Like
respond
they
to
all
that?
there's
questioned when
nothing in
Trump
there.
won.
First of all, it's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country. We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. And of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my
God
prayers,
forbid.
he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that
yeah,
for
sounds
years
good.
in this country,
He'll never
Democrats
do it.
protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016
Thank
said
you.
that Donald Trump had the
I sent
election
them the
stolen
text.
by
I
Vladimir
sent them the
Putin
text.
because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say
Tim's
that
like, what
we
are you
need to
talking
respect
about?
The results of
What
the
are you-
election,
Look
I'm
at his
for it.
face, dude.
But
Look
if
at
I
his
wanna say,
face.
as
What are
Tim
you
Walz
talking
said,
about?
Is he
this
shitting right
problem
now?
that Republicans have had. I don't buy
Oh,
that.
I shit my pants.
No, look at him. He's like, huh.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist
oh my God,
history
January
on this-
6th,
Look,
January
I
6th. Sick of it.
don't understand how we got
Stand.
to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that
No,
there's
it doesn't.
censorship
It's
to
over,
stop people from
Johnny.
threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something. That's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight,
book
and
banning.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You know what kind of books, you
thank Senator
freak?
Vance. I think this is the conversation
You're not
they want to
reading
hear.
fucking
And I
Come on,
stories to
man.
my kids in
This is
drag.
what we are miles
Really?
apart on.
Well, whatever.
This
It's just
was a threat to our
they
democracy
just
in a
wanna
way
just
that we had
gloss
not
over
seen. And it
fucking topics.
manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is
Has she tried to-
that is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the
threatening or
power
hate
of
speech.
government and
No,
big
it
tech
does-
to
no,
silence
no,
people
it's
from
No.
speaking their
hate
mind.
speech is
That a threat to
protected, you
democracy.
It's protected
fucking
speech.
moron.
Outlive this present political
Yeah.
moment. I would
That's
urge
why the
Democrats and
First Amendment's
Republicans to
there.
both reject
That's why all your little
censorship.
cronies are
Let's persuade one
fucking
another.
protesting in the
Let's argue
streets for
about ideas,
Palestine and all this other
let's
shit.
afterwards.
You can't
Because
have
of the
fire in
First
crowded
Amendment.
theater.
Yeah.
That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't
Senator,
wear
the
masks.
governor does
That's
have the
not
floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to
Please.
respond to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate
ran
out
Mark
there
Zuckerberg
who
in
refused,
2020.
and now again, and this I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look,
not from what I see
when
all
Mike
over
Pence
the freaking
made that decision
internet.
to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall?
What
if
firewall?
He knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it. That's what we're asking you, America.
Oh, really?
Will you stand up?
yeah.
Will you keep your oath of
Yeah.
office, even if the president?
We don't have an oath of
And I
office.
think Kamala Harris would agree.
We don't have an oath of
She
office,
didn't
you
think I
freaking
could do that,
boob.
Because of course that's what we would do. So America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time
God.
is up. Thank
Yeah,
you,
hope so.
gentlemen.
I freaking
We will
hope so.
be right back with both of our candidates. The CBS News vice presidential debate continues.
Hold on, I'm trying to fact
I mean-
check this shit here.
This
with,
is insane. Am I swelling up? What's going on? Dude, it's insane. Oh, I want to play this. I want to play this. Let me see if I could share this little tidbit with with Joy Reid and Jen Psaki Bodo, Psaki Bomb. Let's see this. Let's see how nice these people are. Ready?
Fire.
It is calculated, right? Trump isn't just a doddering fool who happens to be racist. He's a calculated person who is not trying to grow his vote share. He's trying to speak into the id of a particular kind of voter about when he says we have to call out Detroit, Philly, and Atlanta. We have to go into Philly, Detroit, Atlanta. He lost Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan in 2020, which is how he lost the election. It's why he's under indictment for attempting to steal those races. What he's telling his voters, his small, his share of extreme MAGA voters, these blacks are stealing the election.
Okay, right. What a racist moron fraud.
Enemy. Black people are going to be responsible if and when I lose.
Black people, yeah, black people are responsible.
My
yep.
language to do violence to them if necessary.
Yeah, do violence to black people.
Another peaceful transfer of power. Because
he actually said that.
This is
you fucking lying bitch.
It is calculated. Right? I mean, Donald Trump isn't just.
Look at Psaki. Look at. She's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're saying this shit actually on television."
He's trying to speak into the id of a particular kind of voter about when he says we have to call out Detroit, Philly, and Atlanta. We have to go into Philly, Detroit, Atlanta. He lost Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan in 2020, which is how he lost the election. It's why he's under indictment for
Wait a
attempting
minute.
to
It
steal
seems like
those
it just
races.
repeated
When
itself.
he's telling his voters, his small, his share of extreme MAGA voters.
Small, extreme
these blacks
share
are
of
stealing
MAGA
the
voters.
election.
Okay.
Black
Okay.
Haitians,
Yeah.
are
80
violent
million
Haitians
people.
are violent.
Black.
You know what? I have to say something. I'm really.
Cut that bitch off.
I love you all. What? Where do you live, Joy? Where do you live? I'm sure you live in a really nice neighborhood. So does Jen. So do I. How come? What? Maybe how many Haitians or how many other black people do you live around, Joy? What neighborhood do you live in? No, really. You're such a fucking fraud. You're a fraud. How are you not getting yanked off the stage like they do with the Apollo with a fucking hook, the cane hook? You know what? You remember that when they used to just yank you right off the stage? That's what has to happen. It's insanity, dude. It's insanity. Get out of here. And that another one, that Charlemagne the God. I mean, I thought he was all right at first. Then I hear him talking and he's about Kamala and this and that. Come on, dude. Are you out of your mind? No man should be voting for Kamala Harris. No man. I'm just saying, no man should be doing it. Take it how you want to take it. Take it how you want to take it. I'm getting a lot of static, and I don't know why.
I don't know.
It might be.
I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo. Where does Joy?
Of course you
Reid
do.
live?
Of course you duck, go.
Where does
Why
Joy
wouldn't you?
Reid live? Joy Reid lives in Florida,
Oh, really?
in Pembroke Pines.
Are you kidding me?
That's what
No.
it says here.
No, you just found some old broad named Joy Reid. You goofball.
It's got her
She lives in
picture on
Pembroke
it.
Pines.
It's got her picture on it.
Come on.
That's what it says. I'm looking at strange building and architect and real estate.
All right, we're back.
I gotta try and confirm that.
Coin toss and elected to go last. So Governor Walz, you are first. You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Senator Vance. Thank you to CBS News. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support of the democracy
What a
matters.
dick.
It matters that you're here. And I'm as
I mean, he
surprised
tried.
as anybody of this coalition that Kamala Harris has built, from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift, and a whole bunch of folks in between there. And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people.
They all
believe
agree they
in a
hate
positive
Trump.
Future of this country, and
Don't
one
lie.
where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you that that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe him when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage, and then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me.
He's choking
Kamala
on
Harris
his
gives
dick
us a
right
different
there.
option.
Yeah,
Now,
he's
I have
choking
to
on his
tell you,
own bullshit.
I'm going to be
Is
careful
what he's
about the
doing.
quotes, but there's one that
I don't
Senator
even know
Vance
how.
said that does resonate with me. He said Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid.
Why are you
We're gonna
afraid
know
of
that was
Donald
right.
Trump?
All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward.
A
She's
new way
bringing us
forward.
a politics of joy. She's bringing
Joy.
real solutions for the
Hope
middle
and joy,
class,
'cause that
she's
pays the
centering
bills.
You at the heart of that. All
That
the
keeps
while
America safe.
asking
Hope and
everyone,
joy.
Join this movement. Make your voices heard.
communist
Let's look
propaganda.
for a new day where everybody gets that
My God.
opportunity
After seeing
and
this
everybody
and
gets a
her,
chance to thrive.
after seeing
I
and even
humbly
her
ask for your
interviews
vote
like-
on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
Oh my
Governor
God.
Walz, thank you.
Okay.
Senator Vance, your closing
Please
statement.
smoke him.
Well, I want to thank
Please.
Governor Walz, you folks at CBS, and of course the American people for tuning in this evening.
Stop being so
One of the
polite.
issues we didn't talk about was energy.
No, I'm just
And I
kidding.
remember when I was
Good
being
job.
raised by my grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights because Ohio gets pretty cold at night, and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods.
This is
You ought to
teleprompter
not
shit,
have
isn't
your
it? For both of
communities
them?
flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten harder.
It's
with
fine.
Kamala
I just-
because of Kamala Harris's policies.
think so.
Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing and to tell me they're praying for my family. What that has taught me is that we have the greatest country, the most beautiful country, the most incredible people anywhere in the world. But they're not going to be able to achieve their full dreams with the broken leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live their American dream if we do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 3.5 years. We need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well. Please vote for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance,
Good job.
Thank you. And thank you both for
Good job.
participating in the only vice presidential debate
No.
this
The
election
only
cycle.
one.
I'm Margaret Brennan.
And I'm Nora O'Donnell. And a reminder, there are
Nora
just
O'Donnell and
25
Margaret Brennan.
days
Those two
until
Irish
Election
girls?
Day.
I think
Please
it's
get
two
out and
Irish
vote.
girls.
And for all of us
That's
here
that's
at
not
CBS
bad.
News, thank you and good night.
And good night. All right.
Later.
All
All
right.
right, well, that was a debate. We saw some back and forth. The
All
mics
right.
were
And now we're going to do our own spin room. This is the Oddfathers spin room, baby.
Hold on, I'm spinning in my chair. Woo.
I'm spinning in my chair. I'm spinning in my chair. Hey. I mean, I can see where, I can already see where they're going to be like, he was so good. He was so articulated. He was so alive. He was so this. He was on point. He called him out and this and that. And Trump. I mean, no.
That's all they talk about is Trump. Trump.
Okay. Do you feel that Vance answered more questions than Waltz?
Yes.
Like with direct answers, right?
The moderator had to actually say you didn't answer the question.
Yeah,
to
right. She
Walz.
did say it, Margaret.
3 times.
Right.
I
Okay,
lost count.
right? Okay, good. I wasn't. I thought you were keeping notes, dude. You're not keeping notes
Yeah, in my head.
in my head. No, it's the truth. It's the truth. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't trust him. I don't get a good vibe from him. I don't get a good vibe from his wife. Have you seen another Happy Hands Turn the page. What are we going to do?
hands.
Turn the page. I mean, turn the page? That's a bad slogan, first of all. It's bad. Have the eyes to me, the eyes say it all. Have you ever seen her?
Oh, she's
Have you seen
wacko,
it?
bro. Yeah.
I'm gonna get it for you.
Give him a glimpse into the second lady.
Tim Walz. Let's see if I can get any video.
I just want to say congratulations to the Padres for shutting out the Braves 4-0.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For those of you who follow sports, you know me. I got
The Mets
two
won. The
TVs.
Mets won tonight against the what?
Hell
The
yeah.
Brewers, right?
Yep, came back.
Yeah. Did you watch any of that game?
Yeah, I was watching it before we started. Big comeback.
Oh no, I don't want to do that. Why would I want to ever do whatever that is? Anyway, I don't want Instagram, Facebook. I just wanted a YouTube video of this nincompoop. Tim Walz lost temper and crying after wife. I don't know. No, let's try this one. No.
Amazon hates
No.
this, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's a new electric
Can I
lighter out
skip
there,
this?
and it's got the
Hold on,
firepower
hold
of a
on.
You
military
gotta
grade.
wait 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know. No, I'll skip it now. Wait. And no thanks. So. Oh yeah, we're not. So I just want to see. This is not. Anyway, fuck it. The producer's on hiatus tonight. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, I got some comments. Walls looks like Alvin the Chipmunk. The author of Project 2025 actually endorsed Kamala.
Yeah, that's right. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I saw it. And you know what's good? You know what's good about X, and this not good about itching in my ear. It's that, again, readers added context, the fact checked. This seems like there's a lot of it is fact checked.
Right.
So when after a while you don't see something that has a what do you call it, community notes or whatever they call it, then you kind of have to go, wow, this could be legit.
True.
Right? This is legit.
Yeah.
And what were we just talking about?
Jazz hands. The white
Jazz hand, yeah.
jazz hands.
No, we were not talking. Well, things that he looked like. He looked like what? What was the last one?
Alvin the Chipmunk.
Alvin
I think he
the
lose like Don. I think he looks like Don Rickles. Myself.
I'm telling you right now. When he did that face, I'm going to show you. Hold on. Oh, I don't even know if I'm spelling this right.
Oh wait, somebody sent it to me.
Rudolph, yeah, hold on. Images. Let me go here. Hold on. I'm gonna get it.
I gotta see.
Yeah, there it is. Hold on. I gotta click on it. All right, ready? This is the greatest thing ever. Hold on. Oh, am I not sharing it? Share screen, dude.
Oh
Come on.
my God, we need a producer. If anybody is willing to work.
Look, he
for
made
free.
that face.
Oh my-
When he made that face, he looked just like this guy. He looked just like the Burgermeister. He did. That Chris
my
Klinger
God.
and these
You're-
toys. No more
you're-
toys.
If you're under 25, you might not know the reference.
No, I know, but look it up. It's from, I think it was one of the Rudolph movies.
I
Hold
think
on,
it's
I'll find
from
it.
Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
Burgermeister Meister Burger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is a Christmas TV special. Santa Claus Comes to Town. You got to watch it. It's the prequel to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He looked just like him. That's the first thing that came to my warped mind when I saw that. I was like, what is this guy doing? Look at him. Look at his facial expressions. I mean, what if he goes into one of those contorted faces like what he's like, if he gets elected and some serious shit is going on, they're going to be like, what the fuck was that? What kind of face? What kind of face? Maybe it's good, though. Hey, don't mess with this guy. He thinks he's the Burgermeister.
Maybe
Burgermeister,
maybe he
Meister
should-
Burger.
Maybe for Halloween, we should get him the what do they call them? Lederhosens and the
Yeah,
hat.
Lito. Yeah, the whole fucking hat and a Stein. See the way he would. I say Stein. The way he would say it. Understand? He would say Stein.
Stein.
Give me my Stein. Am I yelling? I don't give a fuck. It's late.
Hey,
We have to go to. We have to go to work.
If you donate to us, we'll buy the costume and send it to Tim.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you donate? I don't know.
I don't
yeah,
know.
just donate. Please, if anybody knows where never forget it. I don't even know what I'm saying.
No. Yeah. we already put out that Joy Reid lives. in
Hey, I got a
Pennsylvania.
little jingle for January 6th. Ready? Feds. Du-dun, du-dun. How many of there was them? Feds.
Feds.
Du-dun, du-dun. Nobody knows who was there. Feds. All right, that's it. That was my thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was great. we worked on that all night.
Yeah, we did. No, it's Monty's brain. It's my brain is fucking on overload right now. This so, I could have talked over that whole night, but then nobody would have been able to hear it and whatever. But still,
Well,
I think he did a good
personally-
job. I think he did a good job. I think he was very personable. I think he got his points across. I think he didn't overspeak. He didn't get into any kind of like he actually complimented him a lot.
Yeah, I
He
kind
did, I mean, he was very polite. Now, that kind of worries me a little bit too. I hope he's all he's cracked up to be, but I don't know if I know anybody that nice.
Yeah.
You know? Most people after a while would be like, "Go fuck yourself. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone for for 4 days."
I know you or I would have said, "Get the fuck out of here." Leave me the fuck
I'm
alone."
just saying. Well, not even to him. I'm just saying in general. Like, is he that nice all the time? And I hope he is. That's great to know that there are people like that. I'm not one of them. I'm just saying. I know I'm not. I try really hard, but I'm just not. Anyway, so I think he kicked ass, and I hope everybody sees what could be and what should be.
I just got a comment. Tim Walsh is going for surgery tomorrow. He needs to find his head because JD shoved it up his ass.
Shoved it up his ass. Well, and that's the thing that they're always. I don't know it. There's so many things that have come out now. The numbers at the border with how many rapists and drug dealers or convicted murderers or whatever,
I can-
right?
I can
So
give you
many things
those.
have come out. Yeah, so many things have come out, and it's facts from the government, from whatever the border patrol or whoever it is themselves. And now they came out. They're trying to say those numbers are skewed. Okay, again, I think Gutfeld said, okay, let's just say those numbers are cut in half.
Right.
Oh, it's only 8,000.
Right.
Right? These are not my words. These are Gutfeld's words. But he's right. It still is horrific that you let these people going into your community, my community. You know what I mean?
They're not going to Joy Reid's community.
No. There's a static. But like our representative here, Byron Donalds. I love Byron Donalds. We love Byron Donalds.
Nice.
He's kick ass. But he went on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God and whoever, that other girl. Or whatever.
Oh, I saw that.
And this dude whips out receipts, like paperwork, out of his jacket. Because he came prepared. You know what I mean?
Right.
He came prepared. So they're questioning him. And again, I don't see it. But then again, I'm here and he's got the Breakfast Club or they have the Breakfast Club. But I don't particularly think that he's that smart. Not Byron. I think Byron is brilliant. But they're like, they can't argue when you present them with facts, but they still do.
But it wasn't him. It was the chick on
The
that.
girl, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but he handed him. He goes,
handed
I'm not
it
even
to
going to read them.
Charlemagne.
I'm not
Right.
even going to read them.
Yeah,
Here they
there-
are.
there
And
you
he gives
go.
it to that. He gives it to him, and he's like, oh, it was a short clip. It was like a minute clip. I would love to see what it really, what it really was, like what the whole conversation was, and if at the end they were like, oh shit, okay, all right, well, you got me on that, because that I feel is the way 98% of those freaking conversations should go. Everything that he was accused of. All right, forget about this 34 count bullshit, Trump, all this nonsense, right? The dossier, all this stuff has come out. It's all fake. So again, a common sense person, an adult, a mature person would be like, wow, I was fucking wrong. I believed all that shit about this guy, and it's not true. So what else is not true?
They doubled down. They're like, no.
Right. No. The world isn't on fire. Don't believe your eyes or your ears. No. Listen to what we tell you. That's what they're trying to do. If you lie to people enough, right? There's a saying, and I don't know what it is.
If you tell a lie 3 times, it becomes a truth.
That's pretty much the short version of it. Mine was a little bit more.
Oh.
I mean, mine. Like I wrote it.
Well,
I didn't write. I don't write shit. Here,
Monty,
this is it.
Acquiesce
Come on.
that.
I want to read this before we go. All right. The constant lying is not aimed at making the people believe a lie, but at ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. A people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. And such a people, deprived of the power to think and judge, is, without knowing and willing it, completely subjected to the rule of lies. Such a people, with such a people, you can do whatever you want. And this was Hannah, I guess, Arendt, a German historian, philosopher from 1906 to 1975. This is a woman. And it's the truth. Think about it. It's not the constant lying aimed at making people believe it, but that ensuring that no one believes anything. Right? So then throw in AI, throw in fake dossiers, throw in assassination. I mean, throw in all this stuff. What are you supposed to do if you're not of a level, some kind of a level mind? I can see how you could be easily persuaded to believe the bullshit, and they're bullshitting us. They work for us, and they're bullshitting us. And he's not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No.
But yeah, you come on. I mean, come on, man. You gotta. I don't know. You can't just be voting for her. I saw Chris Rock on one of these little Zoom things. She had Meryl Streep, Kamala, Meryl Streep, this one, and Chris Rock, dude. You deserve to get slapped. Are you kidding me? You should get another slap.
By the American people.
I mean, I said it. Nobody's hearing. Nobody hears it, but I said it. We got to change that, dude. I think we're doing good. I think we might have had 3 more viewers tonight than we did last time.
Awesome.
And that's a win. That's a win right there. Yeah. Oh no, it's not that funny.
Hey,
it's
look,
all right.
Look, you want to vote for these fucking idiots? We got Iran bombing Israel, right? With money that these morons, this administration has given Iran the money so they can do this. We have what's Joe doing? Oh, I'll help Israel. Yeah, okay. We have a dock workers strike going on, okay?
That guy, he's a little fucked up, that guy.
Yeah, but
you see
still.
him?
But yeah, I saw him today, but still, like, the president could have stepped in and done something. That's all under this administration. Where's Kamala?
Right.
Kamala is in California, okay? Like, we had a major hurricane that devastated hundreds of thousands of lives. Like, people have nothing. Towns are gone.
Right.
Right? What's Joe doing? He's on the beach.
No,
What's Kamala doing? Right. She ain't doing shit. Right? Trump put boots on the ground, got up, went there. Okay?
No, I know.
Like,
but he's not going. He's not going into the thick. Like he's not. They're not airdropping and fucking flying Trump into Asheville or anywhere in the Panhandle right now. I mean, he's going to places that are devastated. That's for sure. And I don't really think that it would be. I mean, it just for them to be in the state somewhere where the catastrophe happened would be reassuring to people.
It shows leadership.
Right. It would be
right.
reassuring to people. So they're not doing that. And their attitude is, well, what the fuck am I going to do? We're handling it. We're handling it from here, from our phone, from our computer, delegating shit. Oh, yeah, we're getting it done.
He had
we're
a
getting it done.
2-hour conversation. You know what? We've
I thought
been
I
on the
always do
air
that.
for 2
I was
hours
trying
and
to
8
mute it.
minutes. We spent more time than he did on the conversation
I know.
about it.
I know. It's insane.
Like, didn't they criticize Bush when he didn't go to Katrina? Right?
Yeah.
Where's the same goddamn
Outrage.
criticism?
Right.
And outrage.
Right. No, there isn't, because they're frauds. I have to say it. I try not to think like that, but you can't be serious. You can't be honest and serious if you just, I'm not saying if you don't see it like us or like we do. It's the fact. It's the fact. Look at how you act. Look at what you do when somebody doesn't agree with you or doesn't fall in line with your agenda. And you say that people like us who want a secure border, want our kids to be safe, and all of these things that you say you want, but we're racist and Nazis. It just baffles me.
and
It just baffles me.
deplorables.
Still, I know we're
Deplorables.
talking about it. I know, but this is what comes up in me every time I see one of these debates, because I feel, like people and what they did say, people fighting, family members fighting, like losing, people not talking or this and that. I mean, it's happened to me personally. It's happened to me personally where, I got ridiculed for not doing this and not doing that and not complying with this and not following that. But look now. Look at what's come. Look at what's happened. Look at what we found out.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into specifics because I'm not, I'm sure I violated some kind of shit tonight. But whatever. I mean, come on, man. Just come on. Just be real. Just be real. It's a hatred I feel for him, but is it a hatred for our ideology where we want a secure country? Where we want things to be nice and people to be respected and respectful and our children to be safe. I don't know.
I think it's more of a hatred for him than anything.
Be energy independent, have lower prices, affordable housing.
How is that not good?
No, that's what I'm saying. And so many people scream. And again, am I wrong with saying, and I think you said it, 16 years they've had control. He had it for 4 out of those 16, or what? 4 out of 20.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was. They've had control for 12 years out of the 16.
12
So,
years out of
yeah.
the 16. Okay,
Yeah.
12 years. 12 years you guys have had it. He took it over for 4 years, turned it around. You guys got it back, and here we are today.
Right.
What does that tell you? Please have common sense. If this is getting out anywhere, please have common sense. That's all I have to say.
Why has it become so?
It's like we're the radicals now.
Yeah.
We're the anti-establishment now. It's wild.
Okay.
It's wild.
When Clinton.
We should
was
all be
in
the same.
office- When Clinton was in office for 8 years, right? People got along. It didn't, whatever side you were on, everybody was more moderate. Bush, everybody was more moderate. I hate to say it, once Obama got there, everybody started getting a little bit more radical.
Yeah, dude. Because he in my opinion, this is our or my opinion, nobody else's. Right. He was the agenda accelerator, I like to call him.
Yes.
The agenda accelerator, because that's when everything just went into like high gear. It just fucking kicked it. Boom. We're doing this. You do that, you do this, you go here, you do that, you say this. It was like that because it happened quick.
Right.
Before we knew it, it was like we were like, "Hey, what the what? Who?
Yeah.
What?" You know what I mean? But you can't.
Take some time out of your busy day. Go on, that online store and buy Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, and you will see what he did and how he started it. Why was Bill Ayers his mentor?
Right.
And that that's all you
Yeah,
have
there's
to
a
do.
whole lot. It's listen, this country is rich in stuff. Minerals, oil, natural gas, all kinds of stuff is here. A lot of it.
Right.
So if you don't think that people, other countries, or people in this country are going for the gold and they don't give a shit about anybody else, I think you're very, very mistaken. That's my opinion again. That's it. So I don't know. I hope it change. I hope something changes. I hope we wake up, because I just don't know what it's going to be like. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around what it would be like to have that woman and that guy. And it's not even so much them. They're going to be controlled just like they're being controlled right now. Just like they were controlling Biden. You can't tell me these people are in control. There's no way. I mean, they're in control, but they're the ones that have all that power to do all the things that they're doing and signing off on shit, signing this executive order here, do this. We're fucked if that happens again. We're fucked.
Well,
Does anybody want to go through this anymore? Anyone? Any one of you?
That's what you got to ask yourself.
Anybody that's not filthy fucking rich.
Yeah,
Do you want to
wanna
go
keep
through this
going in the
anymore?
same direction?
And you know what? You know what, too, John? Oh, are you Sal tonight? I forgot. I didn't know.
Combo.
All right, good. There are people who don't even watch the news. I get it. I kind of envy them in a way. You know, there are people who don't watch the news. There are people who don't give a shit. Especially if you have enough money, you don't give a shit. You can go on the vacation you want. You could send your kid to a good school. You got a nice car. You got a nice house. You're making a living. You're having barbecues. Fuck it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen until it's too fucking late, dude. Yeah. It'll be too late for you just like it's going to be too late for me.
I think that's how America lived when it
I hope
was
not. I hope
Reagan, when it was Reagan, Clinton, Bush. It was like, you know what? I'll get through it. And I honestly think I was guilty of that myself. And then I started doing a little bit more research. I'm like,
well, that's it. Just do your research. Just don't just spew stuff out. You know, I don't know. I just don't like the hypocrisy of anybody. I don't like hypocrisy from anyone, let alone people in government. You know, again, the inmates are running the asylum. They work for us. They're our servants. I'm going to try to say it right. They're our public servants.
I was
right?
going to say public servants.
That's it. We elect them because we believe that they're going to do the right thing for us. So there's that many people that want to see all this other stuff go on, all the immigrants, all the lockdowns, all the things that are happening. There are people, I guarantee you, don't know what's happening on the other side of the world because they don't give a shit, because it doesn't affect them until it does. Until it does. And then it's too late. And I don't know. I don't want to see that happen. I have young kids. I don't want to see it happen for me. Hopefully I'll live a long time. Hopefully I'll live to end this podcast. I'll make it to the end. Whatever. I think he did good. You listen, and I know tomorrow there's going to be all kinds of shit. It's going to be it's going to be two totally different lenses. Right?
Absolutely.
Two totally different lenses.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised he didn't come out and do this fucking, I'm going to bow like he's like did
You
a
know,
Buddha or whatever.
I would have gave him the winner
Kung Fu.
if he came in and did a cartwheel to the podium.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I would have just checked it off. Winner. He won. He won.
I saw something that was so accurate. It was like Chris Farley coming in one night. I think it was SNL. He came in through the audience and he was just doing handshakes and waves and moving all over and running at people. He picked one person up. I mean, that's this guy. That's this guy. He was so calm tonight. I wonder if they sedated him. I wonder if that's what made him make the Burgermeister face. He all of a sudden he checked out. His whole head went and he had he had palsy. And his mouth just went.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. All right. You're close with the beard. You're kind of close, but he didn't have a beard.
I'm the Burgermeister,
I am the Burgermeister, Meister Burger. Check it out, kids. Check it out. Maybe I'm not going to say that. Just check it out. If you're old enough, you know what to do before you watch it. I'm not that I'm promoting anything. I mean I'm not promoting the Burgermeister.
Yeah. We know what you're talking about.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Santa Claus. Well, it was fun, dude. I liked it. I hope. Too bad there's not any more of these. I hope everybody else feels the same. And again, I can't thank you enough for hanging with me. Otherwise, I'd be doing this by myself because.
I love it. I
love
it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come to the studio. I say it all the time.
I'm telling you, we're gonna have another friend will be coming in soon. He's gonna be good. Hopefully, he'll be in on a regular basis. I call him Skipper because he's that guy, right? If you're Italian, you know what Skipper means.
How you doing, Skip?
How you doing, Skip? You're my Skipper. But he's a good man, and he's funny, and hopefully we'll have a good time. We'll get him in here soon, and hopefully the other guys will show up every now and then. But this is fun. We're having a good time, and I pray for everybody again that's struggling right now. I almost have like a survivor's guilt kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like here we are, we're sitting here, comfy, bullshitting, drinking, smoking, whatever, and people are like, their lives are turned upside down right now. And it's not like it's across the pond, right? It's not on the other side of the world, which is tragic too, but it's here. It's here in my home state, our home state, states that are to the north of us. And we know people, I know people up in Port Charlotte. They had 4 foot of water in their house. It's over. I know people on the beach, on Fort Myers Beach in Sanibel, who just got done, fixing everything, getting things done.
I was just going to say.
Done.
My buddy who got destroyed with Ian in Port Charlotte on the water, they literally, it's been a month now. The house is finally done. It's absolutely gorgeous. Point lot on the water, 3 sides.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's house on the block is flooded except for his.
Wow.
He's like, I don't know what happened. He's like,
wow.
We got lucky.
Yeah, lucky. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he was
yeah.
showing
This is
me
right on this house that I know. The people they're right on Charlotte Harbor. It's beautiful. It's got a great view, but these poor people. And then now you have to worry about what's going to happen with the insurance companies. What's going to happen then. It's just one thing after another. And maybe next time we talk, because there's a lot of conspiracy theories flying around about this storm, and stuff under the ground in North Carolina.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Look into that, and we could talk about it. Let's look into that. Yeah, and we can see if there's any truth to that, because I'd like to see what's going on with that. But you never know. But anyway, this was fun, dude. I had a good time.
Maybe we'll do it again.
It's always so much fun to get aggravated with somebody else. Aggravated alongside of you, not with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to get mad.
Great. Now I won't be able to sleep till about 2 a.m.
Oh, I know. Well, that's the thing. See, that's the thing.
We do it all for you. All for you guys watching.
Yeah, man. That's like, it's true. Not really. I fucking do it for myself. I do it. No, I do it. I don't know. I don't even know who's out there. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I'm still having fun. And when I say stuff like that, John, I feel like I hear people going, "Glad you're having fun."
Yeah.
Glad you're having a fucking good time. You suck. That's great. Yeah, that's okay. You can't please everybody. That's my wife always says. Something like that. I think she just says me. You can't please me, I think is what she's more like it.
You corrected yourself.
Yeah, I had it. I'm being honest. I'm being honest like J.D. Vance and Tim Waltz. Being honest. What are you going to do? All right. Go watch the Burgermeister. Meister Burger. Peace. Oddfathers. And remember, don't get even. Get odd, baby. Odd. All right. Later.